Games, Paris 2024.
With Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to day 6 of the Olympic Games when Marchand Mania is sweeping Paris. Alistair Bruce Ball.
It's the morning after the night before in the pool. France's fresh-faced swimming sensation stunned everyone with his unprecedented double gold last night. He's swimming again this morning, and we've got British interest in all the heats coming up, including Ben Proud starting his quest for a first-ever Olympic medal.
Great Britain are on the hunt for more rowing medals this morning. Chris Jones.
Yeah, what a morning it could be on the lake at 10:50. Helen Glover and the women's 4 will look to row their way into the history books, but the men's 4 are also in the medal mix at 11:10. There's the men's double at 10:30, and first up in about 15 minutes' time, Becky Wilde and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne go in the final of the women's double.
And the world's best men's golfers are competing for a gold medal. Ian Carter.
Yes, big galleries swarming across Le Golf National in perfect conditions, and the world number 1 off to a flyer. America's Scotty Scheffler, 2 birdies in the first 3 holes, but GB's Tommy Fleetwood has just rolled in a birdie that takes him to 2 under par. That's just 1 shot off the lead.
We'll bring you every Team GB medal live here on 5 Live. You can also follow events on the BBC Sport website and app, or watch on BBC One and iPlayer.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
A very warm welcome to the programme. 18 medals on offer today. The first has gone to Ecuador's Brian Daniel Pintado in the men's 20k race walk. We're going to start at the pool at the Paris La Défense Arena, where GB's Honey Osrin and Katie Shanahan are going in the heats of the women's 200-metre backstroke. Commentated on this are the Athens 2004 men's 200-metre butterfly bronze medalist Steve Parry and 5 Live's Alistair Bruce Ball. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Yes, all good. Excited for this, excited for all of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the way the swimming works. I've sort of been learning it at these Olympics. So the morning sessions, which started at 11 o'clock over here, obviously 10 o'clock UK time, are your heats, and you build up to the big medal races in the evening. So the first thing we're going to see here this morning is the women's 200 metres backstroke heats. We've got 4 of them. The first has just been. In the second one, Honey Osrin, the 21-year-old from Great Britain, will race. 27 swimmers in total, and Steve Parry, we're looking for the 16 fastest qualifiers. So I keep repeating this. It doesn't matter who you beat in your heat. It's not a case of the top 3 in each heat goes through. It's all about the time you record, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So everyone swims off in the morning. We've got 10 heats of 50 metres freestyle for men. The speedsters coming later. Out of all those 80 people, only 16 will advance to the semi-finals tonight. Then the lucky 8, again, they advance to the finals 24 hours later. And that's why Léon Marchand's been so impressive, because he's managing this schedule of swimming and clearing all before him.
Yeah, the golden boy Adrian is back in the pool this morning. He is swimming in the men's 200 metres individual medley. So that's 200 metres of each stroke. And Steve Parry, after watching him last night, has basically already given him the gold medal in that event. But Tom Dean and Duncan Scott will swim for Great Britain. It'll be great to watch Marchand again. The arena here is pretty much packed this morning. And let's see what Honey Osrin can do, first of all, for Great Britain in this second heat of the women's 200 metres backstroke. The swimmers in that crouch position lift themselves from the water, throw themselves backwards, disappear under the glistening light blue surface of the pool here. They've got to pop up, and she just did it in time there, Honey Osrin. In the first 15 metres of the race, we saw Luke Greenbank for Great Britain disqualified yesterday. He swam a good heat, but unfortunately didn't appear after the first 15 metres of the race, swam beyond the first 15 metres underwater, and that is not allowed. So first 50 metres have gone in this heat. Honey Osrin has started pretty well, Steve Parry.
Yeah, she's great, and it's helping her here. She's next to Kylie Moss from Canada. She's an Olympic medalist. She has been a world medalist at this event, and it's great to get that pace. It's like at the athletics, Ali, when you've got someone out there pacing you, and this looks really good for Honey there. She's right on the shoulder of the Canadian.
Kylie Moss is leading. Honey Osrin of Great Britain is right beside her in lane 3. Arms whirring behind her as they reach the turn with 100 metres to go. Good swim from Honey Osrin so far. 16 fastest times will make it through to the semi-finals. What about the turn there, Steve? Nice thumbs up from you.
Yeah, I like the turn there, but it's a masterclass from Kylie next to her, the Canadian. She just looks so good here, so smooth, that backstroke, head perfectly still. But I tell you, Honey wants a bit of the action here. She looks like she's trying to do a statement swim in these heats and get herself a centre lane for the semi-final.
Jacqueline Barkley of Australia in lane 5 is quite close to Honey Osrin as well. Kylie Moss, the Canadian, leads. This is the final turn, 50 metres to go. Great swim from Honey Osrin so far for Great Britain. Let's see what she's got left in the tank. She's just drifted a little bit left in her lane here, swimming right beside that blue lane rope. I'll tell you what, she's turning on the gas here and she's chasing Kylie Moss down in the last 25 metres of this race. Katie Shanahan still to come in the 4th heat this morning, but Honey Osrin with about 15 metres to go, swimming smoothly, and this is an excellent performance from her in the Olympic pool. The British champion came into these games ranked 13th in the world, and she will touch in 2nd place in this 2nd heat. And that, Steve Parry, was an impressive swim.
Absolutely no worries there for Osrin getting through to the final. If you do a swim like that, Ali, and you're in the top 2 spaces in one of these top 3 heats, you know that you're going to be going through.
Good start to the morning in the pool then, Adrian.
Absolutely. So I take it, Steve, that was a little better than we were even expecting from Honey there.
Absolutely. I didn't expect to see that sort of swim this morning. You know, going under 2 minutes and 10 seconds for a 200-metre backstroke, that's a really world-class quality in the women's event. So she'll be well pleased with that. I mean, she's swimming next to backstroke royalty in Kylie Moss for the Canadian. She's pretty much done it all. And Osrin stuck with her all the way. It was great stuff.
And what's the technique points we're looking out for here? What tends to go in the last sort of 20 metres?
How are you at backstroke, Adrian?
I'm very. It's my butterfly's my poorest, obviously, but this is my second poorest. I haven't got the confidence to know I'm going in the right direction.
I
for a
hope
start,
you swam at that new pool in Birmingham that they got for the Commonwealth Games. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yes. I've never been there. I go past it every time I go to the Albion. I pass it. I thought I must pop in there, but yes, actually, a post-match swim might be just the job to relieve the tension.
Well, to answer your question, so you can get down to that nice fancy pool and do some backstroke, you've got to keep that head really still. That's what you need to be doing, and you've got to make sure that the hands are fully extending on the backstroke. Little finger entry. They're my top 3 tips.
Okay, well, let's watch out for a little bit more technique, Adrian, in the 3rd heat of 4. We're just looking at the summary of the fastest time so far. Honey Osrin in 2nd place at the moment after 2 heats, just behind Kylie Moss of Canada. In terms of looking for great technique and great performance, Steve, my eye is drawn to lane 4, the American swimmer Regan Smith, who has very smoothly moved out to the front of this race at the start, followed by Peng Shuwei of China. But Regan Smith would have to be a big medal shout in this event.
Yeah, Regan Smith there, Ali. I'm not sure if you saw it, but she almost did a green bank. On her start there, her head came up right at the 15-metre marker. They have little red markers there to watch where they're coming up. I was a little bit concerned for the American there. She was close to a disqualification.
They would obviously look at the footage of that, Steve. If they spotted something amiss, would we only find out at the end of the race? I'm sure it was only at the end of the race yesterday. Greenbank thought he'd qualified, swam a brilliant time, suddenly looked up and there was a DQ by his name on the screen.
Yeah, well, none of us need more VAR, but they've actually introduced a VAR-like system here at the swimming. There's 32 cameras underneath the water around the pool, and that's what they will review. And if there is a problem, they'll pull the athlete into the technical committee area and they'll review it with the athlete and explain the disqualification.
Just under 100 metres to go. Peng Shuwei of China is leading this race. Anastasia Shakurdai going well in lane 7, and Regan Smith just swimming in a very controlled fashion with about 70 metres to go. They are heading for the final turn, and it is Peng Shuwei who is controlling this race. And as Steve says, you can see the cameras everywhere. There's a giant spider cam on the wires above the swimmers, which drops quickly down towards the pool to catch the swimmers close up. It's high above them at the moment. Cameras following them underneath the water as well. Regan Smith turning it on a bit in the last 50 metres or so here. She's closing down on Peng Shuwei. Those are the two who look like they're going to be the quickest in this heat. Skudai still going well in lane 7. Peng Zhuwei just holding off Regan Smith as she brings it in for the last 5 metres of the race in the bright red Chinese swimming cap. Touches the wall now, and it is Regan Smith who is second and Skudai who is third in that heat. Let's have a look at the time of Peng here. 2 minutes 8.29 for that heat.
Yeah, and Peng was great. You know, I think the Chinese team have had a major bump last night with Pan breaking the 100 metres world record for men, because the Chinese are turning up now, which is great to see for the competition.
So 2 minutes 8.29, Adrian. That is the quickest swim so far. One more heat to come. Katie Shanahan will go in that, but Honey Osrin for Great Britain, very comfortable. She is going to be through to the semi-finals.
Okay, but you say that, but how do we know where the cut is going to be? So if this was a faster time in this heat,
well,
than
the reason
the previous
I say that
one,
is
then fourth in this one could have been quicker than Honey,
good
who
point.
finished second.
But she's the third fastest so far across the 3 heats. We've only got 8 swimmers to go in the last heat, so even if all 8 went quicker than Honey, she would still be in 11th place. Top 16 make it through to the semi-finals.
Right. Look, I'm just looking for something to worry about. It doesn't feel like sport to me unless there's something to unless there's something to worry about. I mean, and just I hate to ask a daft question, but are there marks on the ceiling? Do they know how far they are from touching?
Adrian, that's not a daft question at all. Often backstrokers experience issues if there isn't a uniform roof. So when you see backstrokers swimming outdoors, they can often go into the lane ropes. And there's a very famous pool in Leeds, though there used to be before they knocked it down and replaced it with a new one, that had diagonal slats on the roof. Oof. And the backstrokers, they used to swim all over the place because there's no line to follow. Fortunately here, the La Défense Arena, the roof is so high and it's matte black that they're not going to have any problems with the lines.
Adrian, did you hear the lift in noise levels there?
I did.
I did. 2 French swimmers. Every time a French swimmer enters the arena, suddenly the noise levels go through the roof. Emma Terebo in lane 6 for France. In lane 1, Pauline Mathieu. We've got our eyes on, from the Great British point of view, Katie Shanahan, the 20-year-old, in lane 3. She finished 4th in the World Championship final last year and has already swum well at these games, 7th in the individual medley, finding the Olympic champion Kaylee McKeown of Australia in lane 4 right next to her. They're underway. McKeown in the green and gold of Australia, a very visible presence, emerges from the water clearly before that 15-metre marker. But again, Steve, in this race for Katie Shanahan, swimming next to McKeown could pull her along very nicely. Yeah,
exactly the same lane as we saw from Honey in the going earlier today. So, I mean, but it's great. But Kaylee McKeown could have the opposite effect here because she is going out so fast. That could serve to put Katie Shanahan off.
Emma Terebo of France in second place at the first turn. We have an American swimmer called Phoebe Bacon in lane 5. So if she wins a medal, very easy commentary line there. McKeown, she is on her second length here, cruising down the pool, coming up to the 100 metres mark. And Katie Shanahan swimming beautifully as well. It looks effortless, it looks so easy. Listen to the noise inside the arena. That is because Pauline Mathieu of France is involved in this race as well, and actually as they turn, they're all pretty much shoulder to shoulder, 100 metres to go.
Yeah, need to see more from Shanahan here though. I'm getting a little bit concerned because there are 6 swimmers here that could take her out, and she has to pick up the pace on this third 50, or the very talented Kate Shanahan could be missing out on the semi-final.
All about the 16 fastest times. Kaylee McKeown, the Olympic champion, in control of this heat. Phoebe Bacon is closest to her. The 2 French women swimming well as well. Pauline Mathieu in lane 1, Emma Terebo in lane 6. McKeown turns and hits the wall. 50 metres to go. Shanahan's picked up the pace.
Yeah, Shanahan going to the legs now, which is good to see. Good turn from here as well, but we want to see this red hat coming through the field. Apart from McKeown, it's It's across the board. They're all level.
Yeah, Kaylee McKeown is out about half a body length clear, but Katie Shanahan is shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the swimmers in this race. Katie Shanahan driving for home, 15 metres to go, keeping the rhythm, keeping the pace. Pauline Mahur of France going well in lane 1. Phoebe Bacon is coming through fast as well. It's going to be close at the end here. McKeown touches first, then Bacon, then Tahebo for France. Shanahan is 5th fastest in this heat, and Katie Shanahan's time 2 minutes 9.92 seconds. That will be good enough.
We're sure. I'm a bit nervous.
Oh yeah, is that not going to be good enough?
Well, we'll have to wait till the board to revolve to see if it gets through. I'm glad you're confident, Ali, because I was a little bit nervous there. I would have liked to have seen her get on the wall a little bit earlier.
Okay, well, Adrian, what we've got to do here is just wait for the screen to update in front of us. Honey Osrin has the 5th fastest swim. Katie Shanahan has the 11th fastest swim.
What was I worrying about?
Cheers, gents. We'll be back to you a bit later. Fingers crossed for Shanahan that she does get in the final on that swim. Let's go straight to the rowing. There we're joined by Jess Eddy, won a silver in the women's 8 in Rio, and 5 Live's Chris Jones. What have you got for us?
Hi there, Adrian. Yeah, what a morning it's going to be. What a morning it was yesterday. We've now got the 3rd final of this captivating regatta with those 2 wonderful quad sculls finals yesterday with the women's quad winning that sensational race and gold over the Dutch. And then now coming up in the next few minutes, Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne go in the women's double sculls, and then later on the men's 4, the women's 4 and the men's double as well. So we're about to get underway. If you're happy for us to take it from here, Adrian. And they are off. Norway in lane 1, Great Britain in lane 2, New Zealand in lane 3, Romania in lane 4, Netherlands in lane 5, and the hometown team France in lane 6. And just give us some context, Jess Eddy, of this British crew, Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne and Becky Wild. They've only been together 5 minutes and they're racing in a final.
Yep. If you had a word for underdogs, they would be this double in Great Britain in lane 2. They were only been put together recently in the last few months. They went to the European Championships, had to fight for a place to actually get to the Games in May, and right now they are leading out this race.
So 10 GB boats have come to the rowing at the Olympics. 9 of them were qualified ages ago, last year through the World Championships 2023. But this team of Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne only qualified at the 11th hour, at the final possible qualification event. And now how they're making the most of their opportunity. They came through the heat, they came through their semi-final, and early days I know, Jess, but with 300 metres gone, they're out in front.
Yeah, they're rowing with that no expectation on their shoulders. They showed us their speed in the semi-final, leading the semi-final for the majority of the race, just getting pipped to the post at the final pretty much stroke. So that brings this confidence now. They've got no pressure on them. What on earth can they do here?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot over the next 40 minutes or so about the incredible Helen Glover, who's looking to make history. No woman has ever won 3 golds for Team GB, but Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne, like Glover, is a mother as well. Freddie, her 2-year-old, is in the stands, and with 500 metres to go, GB are out in front, but that Romanian crew of Bodnar and Radis, one of the best crews at this event. They are sensational, they're Olympic champs, they're multiple world champions as well, and they're clear favourites.
Anyone would say their money would be on the Romanians. They've been one of the standout crews across the board in world rowing, and I think if you line up alongside them, you know their history, you know how fast they are. Right now they're showing that as they push to the front.
For the women's 4 who go at 10.50, gold is all that will do. For the women's quad yesterday, it was gold that they wanted. But for this GB crew of Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne and Becky Wild, any place on the podium would be a phenomenal effort, given a few months ago they hadn't ever teamed up before. And with 1,300 metres to go, they are looking really competitive, just 2-3 metres behind Romania, who lead now. As expected, that team of Ankuta Bodnar and Simona Radis have taken control as they look to further cement themselves in Olympics folklore for Romania. New Zealand in 3rd, but Hodgkins-Byrne and Becky Wild looking nice in 2nd. Talk us through the effort it's taking, these double sculls, and oar in both hands, Jess. lungs burning, legs burning, everything burning, no doubt.
Yeah, so the crew just blasted off the start, the 2 minutes into the race. Physiologically, this hurts. Imagine putting your hand in a fire and holding it there. That's what they're feeling right now. But the great thing about rowing is you can look back at the competitors you're beating, and Hodgkins, Byrne and Wild here will see they have 3 crews, if not 4 crews behind them. They are right up there in a medal place. They've got to hold their composure here.
They are right in the mix. 1,000 metres gone, 1,000 metres to go. Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne. Becky Wild at stroke, Hodgkins-Byrne at bow, and they cross the line just behind Romania. New Zealand are in third, Romania first, GB second, New Zealand third, Netherlands in fourth, France a little bit languishing, along with Norway, the European champions. Listen to the noise just start to pick up as the competitors hone into view of the grandstand. Bodnar and Radis, the Romanians, out in front. They look odds on for gold, but can this British team of Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne, who's been cheered on by her son Freddie in the crowd, can they hold on for the final 800-900 metres and get an unlikely place on that podium?
So this is the moment you start knowing you're in an Olympic final. You're having those thoughts running through your head, but you have to keep to the process. You've got 800 metres to go. You're sitting alongside the Kiwi team in that all-black lycra. You are right alongside the Romanians. I'd say there's a couple of metres in it, Chris.
700 metres to go in the final of the women's double sculls. The Dutch are in fourth and languishing slightly, as are the Norwegians and the French. Whisper it quietly, but GB are right in the hunt here. Romania lead, 3 metres to the Kiwis, New Zealand in second, but GB only a metre also behind in third.
They will have watched the women's quad scull yesterday. They'll have been training alongside that quad. They know their speeds. They've had that confidence, and they will really take a lot from watching that. And as we look right now, there's a metre or 2 in it for gold.
Well, we expected Bodnar and Radis to be well clear by now, but they're being hauled in by New Zealand. Romania in lane 4, New Zealand in lane 3, but the Brits in lane 2 of Hodgkins-Byrne and Becky Wild are staying in this hunt miraculously with 500 metres to go.
They've got to hold off the Dutch coming at them as well. They've got to go with New Zealand. They can feel that boat alongside them. They've got to move now, because they've got a minute to do something.
The biggest minute, the biggest 500 metres of the careers of Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne and Becky Wild, who've had a sensational week so far, just getting to the Olympics, just getting to the final. But they know they're 400 metres away from something really special. But can they dig deep? Pain etched on their faces. The Dutch were coming, now they've slightly stalled in fourth, and GB are still in the gold medal hunt, would you believe?
I cannot believe this. They're a little across there from Matilda. She's seeing the Romanians to the right of her, New Zealand to the right of her. They're in a strong bronze. Could they push to haul the Romanians back in and get this silver?
New Zealand out in front by half a boat's length. Then it's kind of really close between Romania and Great Britain. Britain 270 metres away from an improbable and brilliant medal, but they're just starting to flag as the Kiwis storm clear. Now it's coming down to Romania against Great Britain, and the Dutch are coming. Can they hold on for a medal here, Jess?
They can hold on. The Romanians have had a turn of pace, and they have looked across, and they're trying to hold back again, the Kiwis, but the Brits are looking so strong for bronze here. Hold off that Dutch crew, Matilda. Hold them off, Becky. Heads up.
140 metres to go. 2 brilliant finals yesterday. Another captivating race here. Listen to the crowd. Lane 3, New Zealand lead. Lane 4, Romania just behind. It's going to get really tight for third, but Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne are holding on. It's going to be the Kiwis, then it's going to be Romania. But with 50, 60 metres to go, can Wild and Hodgkins-Byrne hold on for bronze? I think they're going to get on the podium here. It's going to be tight. New Zealand win, second Romania, and it's bronze, a brilliant bronze for Britain. A brilliant, brilliant bronze for this team of Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne, who only qualified late to the Olympics. They've only been a team a matter of months, and against the mighty Romanians and the superb Kiwis, they have matched them all the way to finish third and win bronze for Great Britain.
I cannot tell you the journey this crew's been on to see them with Olympic medals going to be put around their neck in a matter of moments. This is unbelievable. This is one of the stories of the British rowing team here.
Brooke Francis and Lucy Spores, the Olympic champions from New Zealand. Then it's the highly fancied Bodnar and Radis who win silver. But Adrian, that is a magnificent performance from Becky Wild and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne, who win bronze in the women's double sculls.
I'll tell you what, Chris, I was feeling what I might call the anxiety burn at the end of that. I couldn't bear to see them miss out at the end. Jess, you said heads up. What, just is that what happens when you get completely knackered bluntly at the end? The risk is your heads go down as you start trying to pull harder.
Yeah, you're in so much pain. I can't tell you after 6 minutes of racing. You've got to put your head up. You want to let that oxygen come into your lungs. What you want to do is almost like crunch over like a little prawn because you're so knackered. Whereas you've got to keep cool. You've got to keep your head up and really sprint for that line because they had the Dutch on their tails. They had a good squeeze with about 500 metres to go to really try for that gold, and they did. But behind them, you've got chasing crews. So keep your wits about you, keep your calm, and that was an absolute magnificent display of rowing there for our women's double scull.
I mean, we could see that it was the Dutch a few lanes away who were threatening them for bronze, as it turned out. But are they aware of that?
Yeah, you'll know. This is the beauty of rowing. You'll see who's behind you, but they were so far away from them. They'll almost have them in their peripheral vision.
Yeah.
You'll see and feel them over there in that lane, so they will 100% know. Matilda probably had a little look around. You try to not move your head. The head weighs quite a lot, so you don't want to disrupt the boat, but she'll have known and she'll be calling for that.
And it's interesting, isn't it, Adrian? Because for some competitors and athletes, they come to the games and they can come as favourites and it's gold or nothing. Only gold will do. And I think that was the story for, Helen Glover's boat in 20 minutes' time. They're feeling they want gold, nothing else will do. Same for the women's quad yesterday. But just to put into more context, this boat, only a few months ago, they hadn't ever teamed up. They qualified last into this regatta in terms of the women's double sculls, and the last GB boat to qualify. They just snuck in there to qualify for the final. They did it. So to get on that podium, given 6 months ago they'd never even teamed up before, is a very special effort.
Fantastic. Jess, Chris, thank you very much indeed. We've only been on for 28 minutes and I'm absolutely shattered already. Let's go to Sonia McLaughlin at the Chateau de Versailles. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd hear myself say. Sonia, over to you.
And that round of applause that you are hearing, Adrian, is for Britain's Ben Mayer on this 11-year-old bay mare called Tilly, who has just gone clear. Tremendous round of show jumping from Ben Mayer. It's only the second clear of the day so far. He was actually the 10th to go as he gives this mare a pat, as he gives her a long rein so she can stretch her neck as she leaves the arena, because she's done a tremendous job. This is qualifying for the team event. So this is a British team of 3. It's Ben Mayer, it's Scott Brash and Harry Chiles are our 3 competitors. It's 20 teams across the piece, 3 riders each, and basically the dream is to come in, jump clear, under the time, and get as few, basically, so you end on 0 penalties. And so far, there's only 2 riders, I'm saying, one for Sweden and one now for Great Britain, who have actually gone clear. But that is a fabulous start for Ben Mayer. It's ultimately the top 10 teams who will progress, Adrian, through to tomorrow's final. Once all 3 riders have competed, they total the scores up, and the 10 teams with the lowest number of penalties will go through to the final. Tremendous start for Great Britain with Ben Mayer and Tilly.
And who threatens us in this then? So we're strong, but there's others who fancy themselves too.
Oh gosh, absolutely. I mean, Britain of late at the Olympics have had a good run. I'm going slightly hushed because there's another rider, a German rider in the arena. Britain has had gold medals at the last 3 games in the show jumping. They took the team gold in 2012, and then we've had the individual gold medal in Rio in 2016 with Nick Skelton, and Ben Mayer, who we've just seen, is actually the reigning individual Olympic champion. He was riding a horse called Explosion W in Tokyo. That was his wonder horse. That horse isn't here. It's a different horse this time around. But the other rider that went clear earlier in this qualifying was a Swede called Henrik von Eckermann, who is basically Ben Mayer's great rival. Eckermann is the world number 1, Ben Meyer is world number 2, and Sweden are the defending team champions. So watch out for the Swedes, basically, Adrian, because they are the powerhouses right now in terms of world show jumping.
Cheers, Sonia. Talk to you later. It's Sonia at the Equestrian. Let's get a quick golf update before we go back to the swimming. Ian Carter.
Yes, Rory McIlroy for Ireland's just rolled in a long putt at the 5th to get into the red figures, as we say, under par. He's at 1 under par. Playing alongside the world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, off to a very strong start, is the American. 2 under par through his first 5 holes. No drop shots so far. 1 under par through 6 for GB's Tommy Fleetwood. The leader is from Chile, and that's Joaquin Niemann. Plays his golf on the LIV Tour, and an exciting prospect at 4 under par through 8 holes, and he leads by 1.
Thank you, Ian. At just gone 10:30, quick news update. A 17-year-old male has been remanded into youth detention accommodation after appearing at Liverpool Magistrates Court in the past half hour. He's charged with 3 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder and possession of a bladed article following Monday's attack at the Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport. He'll appear at Liverpool Crown Court later today. Let's go back to the swimming, 50-metre freestyle heats. Ali, Steve?
Yeah, hi Adrian, welcome back to the La Défense arena. You can hear the music pumping, rattling through the men's 50-metre freestyle heats at the moment. We've got 2 British contenders in this. First of them, Alex Cahoon, the 21-year-old, is coming out right now. Again, we're looking for the 16 fastest swimmers, but Steve, here we're looking for the 16 fastest across 74 swimmers, 10 heats in total, and this, it's called the splash and dash, isn't it? This is 1 length of the pool, and it is rapid.
Yeah, I mean, this is naturally the most popular event. Everybody fancies a go of 1 length, and but they are going over 2 metres per second, these swimmers, which is above a brisk walking pace, and they're completing it. The fastest guys are completing the 50 metres in 21 seconds. It really is a sight to behold. And Cahoon going here, I thought it was unfortunate not to participate in the men's 4x1 earlier in the week, because he actually did a faster time in the heats than Whittle did in the final.
That's right, he swam in the heats and then got replaced in the final. This an individual event for him, and we can see him, Cahoon, away to our right-hand side, just taking off a bright blue Great Britain swimming t-shirt. These swimmers sometimes like to give themselves a good slap, don't they? Almost punch themselves to sort of wake themselves up and fire themselves up. Did you do that?
No, I like to look after myself. I don't want to be beating myself up before a race.
So Cahoon is going to swim in lane 4. The whistle takes the swimmers to the blocks. Red diving board beneath their feet. They get into the crouch position. Cahoon with the right leg flexed behind the left. Gun goes and Cahoon throws himself into the water here. Quickest time so far in the heats we've seen, 5 of them, 22.71. Load of white water getting thrown around here as they come hurtling down the pool with about 15 metres to go. You could throw a blanket over the lot of them here. So close. Cahoon is right up there though, swimming well. Got to push it all the way through to the wall. It's lane 7. Thomas Fannon of Ireland who got the touch in there, and Alex Cahoon, 22.31, 5th fastest in the heat. The Irish swimmers are having a very good Olympic Games. We met a couple of Irish fans, didn't we, on the old Metro yesterday, who got them. They basically, on the off chance, come over and seen 2 amazing nights of swimming.
Yeah, well, they had they watched Ireland get a medal earlier in the week, and they thought, you know what, we're not hanging around here. They got on a plane out of Dublin, came over, and then they were standing outside with a sign trying to get tickets on the slide. Yeah,
saw Daniel Whiffin win the gold as well. So Alex Cahoon, 5th fastest in that heat. We'll have to see where that puts him at the end of all 10 heats. We are now going to take you to the rowing. Chris Jones.
It's the final of the double sculls, and like every final so far, Ali, it's going to be a grandstand finish, Jess Eddy, and we're keeping a close eye on this team from Ireland of Darragh Lynch and Philip Doyle. Banbridge's Philip Doyle, and they're right in the mix, around about 3rd and 4th as we go into the final 500 metres.
They are. The Romanians are going off so hard up in lane 1, so not one of the favoured lanes, and they've really put pressure on the favourites, the Dutch, but Ireland, Team Ireland, they're sitting in 4th. Bow ball to bow ball for the 3rd, the bronze medal with USA.
Yeah, it's the Netherlands and Romania who are just jousting for position in 1st, and then about a boat's length back to the USA in lane 5, but Lynch and Doyle, the Ireland team, are starting to make some progress coming through the field in third.
They've just moved. They've put in a huge push there. They've got 250 metres left of this race. They've just turned the screw and they've dropped USA. They're pushing up on the Olympic champions, the Netherlands.
Oh, what drama we've had the last 24 hours at the rowing. The gold for Team GB in the women's quad, the bronze earlier in the double sculls, and now this Ireland team of Dara Lynch and Philip Doyle. Doyle from Banbridge in Northern Ireland. They're making some ground on the Dutch with 100 metres to go. It's half a boat's length between the Dutch and Ireland. Romania are going to win the gold, you feel, as the Dutch look to their left at the Romanians. But what can Lynch and Doyle summon here with 40 metres to go?
This is unreal. Again, in the finals, the Romanians are taking it to the line, the Dutch in second, and the Irish are really cruising.
Romania win the gold, Dutch second, and Ireland win bronze. Dara Lynch and Philip Doyle for Team Ireland. They win a bronze in the double sculls. Hands aloft from the Romanian pair. The Dutch in second, but what a performance from Dara Lynch from Clonmel and Philip Doyle from Banbridge in Northern Ireland. They came through the field, they shook off the USA, and they're on the podium. They've got a bronze in the Olympics double sculls.
And many
Adrian.
congratulations to them, to Lynch and Doyle. Another fantastic effort there. Let's go back to the swimming. Alistair, Steve, we're in the midst of the 50-metre freestyle heats. I've got a couple of questions for you, Steve. They're coming out, some have the goggles on, some have the goggles off when they walk out. I mean, I'd leave them off because of the steaming up of the goggles until the last possible minute, but you tell me.
Well, you know, it's just personal preference. I mean, I used to like them have them off as well. You know, you got to focus on where you're walking, haven't you, Adrian? You can't be messing around with these goggles off on the way out. My personal favourite was a guy called Chad Leclos, very famous South African swimmer, actually beat Michael Phelps in 2012. He used to wear them round his neck like an 8-year-old school swimmer, which always tickled me, and he used to keep them round his neck when he went up to the podium to collect his Olympic gold medal. He's the only swimmer I've ever known that keeps his goggle round his neck while he's collecting his medals.
And do they breathe at all in this 50 metres?
Well, great question. The best swimmers don't. If you move your head to breathe, you're actually slowing yourselves down. So these top guys are holding their breath whilst they're swimming a 50 metres freestyle in 21 seconds.
That makes me feel unwell. Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, 3 heats to go. Alex Cahoon was 5th fastest in his heat. Overall, 10th fastest. That doesn't bode too well because the quality sort of goes up and up as you go through the heats. Florent Manadou of France, you heard the big roars for him. He is a huge, muscle-bound French swimmer who's going to power his way down lane 5, and he sets off and into the water. Listen to that noise for Manadou as he gets going into his stroke quickly. Head down all the way. Manadou in the middle of this pool, driving hard for the wall, roared on by these patriotic French fans. So close, this one again. Manadou, I think, though, is still out in front here at the moment, and the French fans absolutely loving it. Manadou gets there first for France. Huge roar and reaction to that performance. 21.54 seconds. Place is buzzing again, Steve.
Well, he's really set down a marker there, Manadou. He's a man mountain. He also looks like a model. There's no surprise he's such a favourite with the French crowd here. He's won so many medals over his years, World Championships, Olympic Games, and he couldn't resist coming back at 33 years of age out of retirement to lay down a performance like that.
So Florent Manadou the quickest so far. What's that done for Alex Cahoon, already 17th fastest? He won't be through to the semi-finals. Ben Proud for Great Britain. Adrian will go in the next heat.
So where are we on the balance here, Steve, between arms and legs? Because the legs look like outboard motors to me.
That's exactly right. You absolutely have to use them like outboard motors and create power from that. So they're turning over as quickly as they can with the arms without slipping water, whilst at the same time their legs are going 6 to 8 beats. So they're doing 6 to 8 leg kicks for every arm cycle. By the way, Manadou's just got out the water here, age 33, and he's got his abs on display and his pecs on display. I mean, he is chiseled, isn't he?
Well, the cameraman was trying to get close up. He is unbelievably well defined, is Manadou. I mean, ridiculous athlete, and the cameraman backpedaling has tripped over a photographer and Manadou has had to help him to his feet. That was a great swim.
I mean, you're talking about the one fella there being particularly well defined, but I mean, how do you pick a well-defined one out of all of these? I mean, they're all well-defined. You'd be more interested, no disrespect, to pick the flabby one, because there aren't.
Maybe we can play that game. we can see who can find. I mean, this fella Ben Proud, he is also pumped up. I'm so desperate, Ali, for him to get a medal here. It's the only medal he doesn't have on his resume.
Yeah, 29 years old, and he admits as well that this is possibly his last chance at the Olympic Games. 4th in Rio, that's the worst place to finish in an Olympic event. 5th in Tokyo, world champion a couple of years ago. Ben Proud will swim in lane 4. Maxime Grousset for France swims in lane 3. Josh Liendo is dangerous in lane 5, the Canadian as well. Whistle brings the swimmers to their blocks. This is Ben Proud's first appearance in the pool in Paris, 3rd Olympic Games, and he's just reflecting as this race gets underway. Grousset, the Frenchman, on his right-hand side. Proud up and out of the water and powering his way down here. 25 metres to go. Out in front of this race. Ben Proud looking to lay a marker down early on to follow the swim of Manadou. Ben Proud is out in front, pushing for the wall. Going well in lane 8 is Armbruster, the Australian, as well, but Proud gets there first. Armbruster second, Liendo, the Canadian, third. 21.7 for Ben Proud.
Wow, what a statement swim that was from Ben Proud. His very distinctive straight arms dominating that race all the way through. He'll be happy with that. I mean, he's going to be through in one of the top 4 or 5 spots here and just working his way through the heat. Didn't look quite as good as Manadou.
No.
But great all the same.
Armbruster's a great name for a 50-metre freestylist. Armbuster, that's what they're doing. They're absolutely thrashing their way down this pool at high speed. Fabulous to watch.
Armbruster is now my second favourite Australian swimmer's name, after old Stubblety Cook yesterday.
Cook. Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Now, I've noticed, Steve, there's a lot of slapping of the pecs on the, as though they're trying to, wake them up a bit when they're standing ready to go. Is that a new thing, or did you have a little slap of your pecs?
I think they're showing off like lions, mate. They've got great pecs and they want to show them off, so they're just drawing attention to them. But joking apart, they're trying to stimulate their senses, stimulate the body, because they do not have time to get into the races. As soon as they enter the water, they have got to be up and at it and straight into the race. This guy here, McAvoy and Dressel, this is a really mouth-watering prospect.
Yeah, Cameron McAvoy, this is the last heat of the 10, swims in lane 4. This is a real mission for Team Australia to try and win this event with Cameron McAvoy. He's been doing a special training program to get ready for it. Caleb Dressel, the American, is the Olympic champion, and he will swim in lane 5, and we're just about ready to go again. Take your mocks. In they go, huge roars from all the fans inside this packed La Défense Arena. McAvoy in 4 in the bright yellow cap of Australia. The Olympic champion, Caleb Dressel, trying to refine that form from Tokyo. McAvoy's getting the better of it at the moment, speeding down with about 10 metres to go. McAvoy looking extremely good here. He is going to win this heat. Let's see the time from Cameron McAvoy, 21.32. That is the fastest so far. Caleb Dressel, 6th in that heat, time of 21.91.
Well, that was absolutely phenomenal there from McAvoy, and he is the standout performer of the morning, McAvoy, and he just looks great. What a story of redemption here for McAvoy. He left the sport for so long and then decided, you know what, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try a totally different way of training, and ever since he's done that, he's been top in the world champion last year, and he looks great here as well.
21.32 is the quickest time we've seen across the 10 heats. I think Ben Proud is going to end up with the 4th fastest time in qualification. Alex Cahoon will not make it through to the semi-finals. Commentating on that, Adrian, I imagine must be like commentating on you know, the 100-metre sprint final in the athletics track. You barely got time to get about 100 words out there, and all of them neck and neck just come flying down the pool. It's some spectacle.
Well, look, this is harder. I would say, no disrespect to athletics commentators, but you've got 10 of these races like one after the other.
Well, they rattle through them. In the heats, they rattle through them. When we get to the evening swim and the medal races, it's a little bit more drawn out. Every swimmer gets their own introduction. There's a great setup to the races, a real sort of big build-up of drama. But, they've gone through those quick. And Ben Proud actually 5th fastest in qualification. He'll be pretty happy, will he, Steve, this morning?
Yeah, job done for Ben Proud. And, you know, he's done this multiple times before, but he has missed out on a medal at 2 previous games. I'm more desperate for him to get a medal than anyone else on the British team. Just wanted to point out, Adrian, the difference between 9th spot and 16th spot is only 900ths of a second. So 9/100ths of a second separate 9 to 16, and they've got to come back tonight and go again to get that real coveted lane tomorrow night for the final. If they're in the final, they've got a chance of a medal because it's all so close, but the hardest bit will be getting in it.
OK, cheers, fellas. Back to you shortly. Let's go to the rowing again. The women's 4 final is coming up shortly. And after winning gold in 2012 and 2016, there's a chance for our Olympic legend Helen Glover to make it a hat-trick.
2-time gold medalist Helen Glover is set to compete in her 4th Olympics at the age of 37 after she was selected for Team GB in the rowing at Paris 2024.
All the pain, all the dedication, all those training sessions squeezed in for Helen Glover between feedings and playing with the kids and trying to fit it all in.
I love the Olympics. I love being part of Team GB.
And it's a first goal for Team GB in London 2012. It's the first ever Olympic goal for women in British rowing. Stanley and Glover have made history.
Wow, that was an incredible race there by the girls. Did what they do best.
Kids that are at home thinking about taking up a new sport, just do it, go for it. You don't know what's going to happen.
Gold for Great Britain on the Lagoa in Rio. And Helen Glover and Heather Stanning can now be considered British Olympic greats.
London was a home games and there's nothing more special, but defending a title, this is like, no, we're not just good once.
Helen Glover has been named in British rowing's 45-strong squad for the Tokyo Games. The 34-year-old is set to become the first British rower to compete at an Olympics after having children.
You know, I want to be the first mother to come back and do this for GB. I want to pave the path for other women. And then I've gone, actually, I can do it. And now I want to do it really well.
Poor old Helen Glover and Polly Swan in the Olympic final finish in 4th place. They gave it absolutely everything they had.
When I got to Tokyo and I kind of answered those questions of, is it possible? Can you still be the mum you want to be while doing it? All these kind of questions that were in my mind. And when they were laid to rest, I think that's why I wanted to go to Paris. And so it's kind of the exciting time now, I guess.
Gold to Britain. They are European champions. With Helen Glover back in, some question marks last season about bringing her in when the combination was working so well. But here's a statement from them. European champions.
I've got to win everything on my own merit, and that's the way I want it to be. You have to be fast enough to be in the boat. And so, yeah, it's just about making sure I'm the best version of myself I can be right now.
Well, Helen Glover could accord herself even greater legendary status if she makes it a hat-trick. Jess and Chris are at the rowing. I mean, Jess, is experience necessarily an advantage here, or or do you just know how much pain you're going to go through, and that could be a disadvantage if you dwell on it too much?
Well, we spoke about the quartz girls yesterday that took home that gold. 3 of them were debutantes, but that kind of naivety helped them a little bit. I think here in this situation, Helen's experience, her gravity as this real Olympic hero will help. There's no doubt about it. These people lining up against her on the start line know who she is. They know she's in that bow line seat.
About to get underway here, Adrian. In lane 1, China. Lane 2, New Zealand. Lane 3, Great Britain. Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave, Rebecca Shorten. Lane 4, the Dutch. Lane 5, Romania. Lane 6, the USA. It's a stacked final. And for Helen Glover and Team GB, 6 minutes or so from history. Helen Glover's legacy as a British sporting great secured. Can she etch her name further into the history books? No woman has ever won 3 gold medals. She's done it twice. With Heather Stanning has Helen Glover. Will it be number 3 today, Jess Eddy?
Well, the pressure's on them. The light has gone off and they are moving off the blocks of the Olympic final of the women's 4. Great Britain in lane 3, favoured for this event. Some tough competition. The Netherlands, New Zealand, Romania. Don't take your eyes off Romania. Dark horses.
Helen Glover at bow, Rebecca Shorten from Belfast at stroke, Sam Redgrave and Esme Booth in the middle, the two Olympic debutants. It's a good mix of youth and experience in this British boat, but the Dutch have gone out really quick, the world champions in their orange. Romania, what a powerful crew they are across so many events. The Romanians, already seen them get a silver and a gold today in 2 dramatic races in the double sculls. A bronze for the British team of Becky Wilde and Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne, and also for the team from Ireland of Philip Doyle and Darragh Lynch. But what can Helen Glover and the women's 4 do? 200 metres gone so far, and it's the Dutch, half a boat's length out from GB and Romania, who are both level pegging in second, but it's a pretty solid, strong start from Team GB, Jess.
This is okay. If you're listening, this is fine. But they don't need to be leading in these opening stages. They haven't done in any of the races they've done. One thing they do as a crew is not drop speed. So a rowing race is about going off and getting your boat up to speed and then holding on for dear life. Our GB crew are very good at holding on. They hold their pace. So yes, the Dutch have gone out fast, but the Brits are going to be confident, they're going to be calm, and that's what Helen's going to bring in that bow seat. But Rebecca Shorten leading this from the stroke seat will bring that also.
Helen Glover's 3 children, Logan, Willow and Kit, all in the stands at the lake to the east of Paris. 500 metres gone. GB kind of joint second with Romania. Then it's a couple of metres away from the Dutch, who are out in front. But we were here 24 hours ago, weren't we, Jess, when the Dutch had that lead over the women's quad sculls with an oar in both hands. And here with the sweep, an oar each for the competitors. GB still holding in there nicely, 1,300 metres to go or so, and they're making a bit of progress on the Dutch here.
Yeah, and I think the Dutch have to go out hard. They're doing the same as their women's quad. Yes, they've got to go out hard. They've been beaten time and time again this year by this British quartet. And right now, Great Britain are moving. That power, that confidence through that first 700 metres is showing, and here they come.
The Netherlands lead from Great Britain, Romania, and then China in 4th, New Zealand in 5th, and the USA in 6th. 1,200 metres to go in the final of the women's 4. But Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten at the front of the boat. They are holding in there nicely with the Dutch, aren't they? And making ground inch by inch on this Dutch crew.
Yep, Helen will be calling this. There's one person in the crew that tells the crew what to do. Helen from the bow seat will be saying, here's where we are. We're moving through the Dutch. This is powerful. Stick to our plan, because they are moving up into that gold medal position.
They really are. A few boats are languishing now. The likes of China and the USA and New Zealand, I don't think will be threatening the podium at this point particularly. It's the Dutch against Great Britain, where we've seen this film before. We saw it 24 hours ago in the quad sculls. And as we move to the 1,000-metre mark, the Dutch just about lead the Netherlands by, we're looking a metre or two, a fifth of a boat.
Yeah, but the British crew have moved right back there. They're going to be confident. You're going through the halfway marker of an Olympic final. It hurts. Your lungs are absolutely telling you you've rowed 3 hard minutes of a race. This is where they start to turn onto the medals. They'll start be thinking about these closing stages. They've got to hold off the Romanians as well. We're in second right now.
300 metres, 3 minutes, 800 metres till destiny, as Helen Glover focused behind her shades, as are the rest of this GB crew. Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorter with 800 metres to go in the final of the women's 4. The men's 4 to come. Already a bronze on the water for Team GB, a bronze for Ireland in the doubles, men and women. But it's Team GB who are edging closer to the Dutch. It's still the Netherlands who lead with 750 metres to go. But all the time, Helen Glover and her team are making water on the team from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave in the middle of this boat. They're so strong. I think we're going to start moving here. We're going to start seeing the yellow bows of the British boat move as the Dutch are doing everything. They're throwing in the kitchen sink to hold off this charge from the Brits.
It's a metre in it. The Netherlands lead. GB a metre behind. Then it's a gap of 10 metres. So it looks like, again, it's going to be silver, at least for Helen Glover and her team of Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten. The noise from the grandstand will pick up with 500 metres to go.
Little look across from Helen there. She gave it the call. You could see the change of pace. pace, and they're narrowing that gap. It's a matter of centimetres now to the Dutch. They've got to keep moving here. That gold medal is theirs to take.
Could be another tight one here with under 500 metres to go. They're the European champions, the GB crew. They're unbeaten in 2024, but this is the one that matters the most. Helen Glover, this great Olympian, looking for gold medal number 3, 12 years on from 2012. It's neck and neck. It's bow to bow with the Dutch. The Romanians languishing in third. Have they got this foot on the accelerator now, Jess?
Rebecca Shorten in the strokes. You don't want anyone else but her there. She's going to hold her heads here, and they are moving. Look at Great Britain go. Rebecca Shorten, Sam Redgrave, Esme Booth, Helen Glover, and they put their bows ahead.
And now Britain are starting to motor as again. Helen Glover looks to her right. This is going to be a really close one. Yet again, more drama on the lake with 230 metres to go. Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten. They still can't quite shake off the Dutch. It couldn't be much closer. 180 metres to go. They are completely side by side.
This is where experience has to come in. Helen has to start moving. Rebecca has to take it up. It is bow to bow. Is this a repeat of yesterday?
All that experience from Helen Glover, Rebecca Shorten as well, and then the debutantes Esme Booth and Sam Redgrave. Under 100 metres to go, and they still can't be separated. It's still the Dutch, just with 70 metres left. Have they got this power push, Great Britain? Under 50 metres, Helen Glover willing her team on. She looks again. It's going to be so tight. It's the Dutch up to the line, and it's gold for the Netherlands. And GB just miss out in silver. It looked with 100 metres to go as if they would put their foot down and storm to an historic gold. But in a complete reversal from 24 hours to go, this time it's the Dutch who celebrate the tightest of finishes. And Great Britain, Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Shorten look devastated with silver.
I think they're shattered. They got their bows ahead with about 200 metres to go, and remarkably the Dutch had an answer. They came back again. You don't really see that in rowing, a crew getting broken and then fight back, and fair play to the Netherlands. They held onto it there.
Oh, Adrian, more drama. What a morning it's been, what a morning it was yesterday. With 1,000 metres to go, you thought, right, this is when Helen Glover and the rest put their foot down. But a complete reversal from yesterday. Same story. The Netherlands and Great Britain nip and tuck right to the line. But this time, it's the Dutch who get gold. And this brilliant career of Helen Glover's, it has a silver in 2024 rather than the gold to match her golds in 2012 and 2016. Silver for Glover, Booth, Redgrave and Shorten. But it's the Netherlands who win gold in the women's four.
Well, it was extraordinary watching the reaction at the end, because obviously the Dutch are delighted, and then in third place with the bronze, the Kiwis are absolutely delighted, and in between them there's poor GB with that silver just looking desolate and absolutely shattered, Jess.
They've been one of the standout crews this year, and if you asked me to put my money on a crew, actually I would have said the women's four. I think they were really fast. The Dutch were just faster. They had an answer, didn't they? Yeah. When the Brits came at them, I thought we were going to start moving there. We've seen that time and time again. The Dutch had an extra little kick, and this time it was theirs and not GB's.
I mean, it did seem at one stage as though the lead was changing hands with every stroke as they went sort of back and forth, because their stroke pattern was slightly different. I mean, it could hardly have been any closer.
Yeah, you can see, we saw it yesterday, the surge of the bows. I mean, you're changing direction twice in a rowing stroke, so the bows kind of surge back and forth. And really, there was a point not very far before the finish line, I thought we almost had it. The surge of the Dutch, and they suddenly got it by a couple of feet. It is heartbreaking for Team GB.
Yeah, you always feel if the line had been 5 metres further on, that could have suited the stroke of the British crew, couldn't it, Adrian? And they could have edged it. But yeah, where it was heartbreak for the Dutch yesterday and glory for Britain, just the opposite today. But two captivating, thrilling bits of sport there. This time it's the Dutch who celebrate, and it's silver for Britain.
Thank you very much, Jess and Chris. Let's go back to the swimming, where it'll be noisy because that Frenchman's in the pool again.
He is Léon Marchand, France's golden boy, has just been beaten by a Brit, Duncan Scott, in the men's 200 metres individual medley. Léon Marchand with that astonishing double gold medal performance in the pool last night. I sense Steve Parry was just sort of managing the workload, cruising down that last length of freestyle. Just to explain, this is an all-rounders discipline, this is, isn't it? So 50 metres of each stroke, butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and then freestyle. But we mustn't forget, Duncan Scott is a live contender, silver medalist in this event in Tokyo. He swum really well.
Yeah, he narrowly missed out on gold in Tokyo to Wang. Wang with an amazing last 50 metres to beat Duncan Scott. But that's what I like about Duncan. He's got no respect for Léon Marchand. OK, mate, you've won 3 gold medals so far, but actually you're going to have to fight for this final gold medal.
So Duncan Scott wins that heat. 16 fastest go through. He's definitely going to be swimming in the semi-finals tonight. And Tom Dean will go in the last heat of 4 shortly, Adrian.
Steve, talk us through the techniques required here.
Well, what's been amazing here, Adrian, is that the medley swimmers used to be the best all-rounders. You know, they weren't dominant in any particular stroke, but they were great at them all, and then they would put them together and they would be the best, most versatile all-round swimmers. What we're seeing and what's so amazing about Léon Marchand is he's taking on the specialists. Last night we saw him beat Christophe Malik, who is widely regarded as the best butterfly swimmer that's ever lived. Léon Marchand beats him. And then he steps up against Zach Stubblety-Cook, the reigning Olympic champion and Olympic record holder, and beats him in 200 breaststroke. So that's what makes Léon Marchand so amazing, is not only is he the best all-round swimmer, he's the best individual specialist as well.
Second fastest qualifier so far, Léon Marchand, behind Duncan Scott. He was treating that as a bit of a warm-down, I think, after the 2 golds last night. Tom Dean is underway, launches himself into the pool. Butterfly first. The Olympic champion is in this heat, Wang Shun. Thomas Neal of Australia is on Tom Dean's left in lane 2, and Tom Dean, we can see in that bright red British swimming cap, powering his way forward with the butterfly towards the wall. He's coming up to the turn here, and let's see who's got the edge in this heat so far. It is the Japanese swimmer Daya Saito who turns first.
Yeah, Saito is looking good. I'd like to see a little bit more here from Tom Dean. Huge imposing presence, Tom Dean. He's a big man. He looked a little bit laboured on that butterfly leg. He's in the top 4, but I'd like to see him moving through the field here.
3-time Olympic gold medalist Tom Dean defended successfully the title with the 4x2 team the other night, and also the 200 metre freestyle champion in Tokyo 3 years ago. 100 metres to go, so backstroke turns to breaststroke here. Tom Dean emerges from the water. He's about 4th at the moment. The swimmer on his right, Wang Shun, the Olympic champion, is out in front. Shane Casas of the USA is close to him. And those are sort of half-hearted allées we're getting for the swimmers as they pop up each time making the breaststroke. When Marchand is doing that, the whole arena goes nuts with that. How do you think Tom Dean's doing at the moment?
Well, he's well positioned here. He is in 4th place, but let's remember, he is the Olympic champion from 4 years ago on the freestyle, so this will be very strong for him this last leg.
Tom Dean turns, 40 metres to go into that strong freestyle swimming. Lane 6, Daya Saito is out in front here. Tom Dean is starting to make some ground. Shane Casas is up there. The Olympic champion Wang is up there as well, but Tom Dean is closing in. Saito is holding them off at the moment, and it is those 4 almost shoulder to shoulder as they head to the wall here. Tom Dean stretching out, last touch, I think he was 4th there. Saito, Casas, Wang and Dean, the top 4 in that heat. Fastest 16 go through. Tom Dean's time, 1 minute 58.30 seconds. I'm going to put my neck on the line again, Adrian. He's going to be absolutely fine. And Duncan Scott through as well.
Okay, just some breaking news to bring you from back here. GPs across England have voted overwhelmingly to take collective action amid a row over the new contract for services in England. More than 98% supported taking action, which could include limiting the number of patient appointments. We'll bring you more on this shortly on 5 Live, but we're going to stick with the Olympics for a while. Specifically, let's go straight back to the swimming. Neil has texted in, Steve, with a question I was thought about asking, but I was worried it was a daft question. But He, like me, has noticed there doesn't seem to be so many false starts anymore. How come?
Well, they stamped it out. It used to be that you were allowed one false start and then the swimmers would line up again and go, but FINA came in, the world governing body, and said if anybody moves on the blocks and goes early, the person that has moved will have to take a walk. And you know, it took a few years for it to settle down, with lots of people getting disqualified and unfortunately not being able to take part in their event. But the swimmers don't go early now because you lose your ability to have a race. So, you know, that rule change has stamped out any false starts. You very rarely see it now.
And the time between the take your marks and the bleep, does that vary at all?
It does. It varies with the referee, with the starter that's doing it. But they try to keep it consistent. There's a whole technical committee here that have introduced this new VAR system underwater, and also all the time are trying to make the sport officiated better. And they are trying to do more consistent starting.
Okay, but if if it's too consistent though, then inevitably that'll lead to sort of preempting it, despite yourself as the competitor.
I think you'd have to be a very brave athlete to try and judge that level of consistency. Plus, you know, they can maybe get a tenth of a second if they get the start absolutely bang on. But actually, you can make up far more on your start underwater, on your turns underwater, and of course in sustaining your swimming speed at the end of the races.
So what have you got for us next?
Right, last heat of the morning, Adrian. This event, this is the women's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. So 32 swimmers, 8 lanes, 4 swimmers in each team. Each will swim 4 lengths of the pool freestyle. This is the event Great Britain's men defended their Olympic title in a couple of nights ago. But this also, the women's event in Tokyo 3 years ago, was one of the epic races. China won it. The Americans took the silver medal. Katie Ledecky almost dragged it back with the last swim. And Australia took the bronze when Ariana Titmus, the great Australian swimmer, was reined in on the final leg. Great Britain are going to go in the first heat here. We've got 2 heats, 8 teams in each. 8 fastest teams will go through to the final. And representing Great Britain here this morning, Freya Anderson, Abby Wood, Lucy Hope and Medi Harris. We're underway. Freya Anderson has had a tough year personally, struggled with glandular fever at the start of the year, but good to see her swimming here for Great Britain in these games, up against Germany lane 1, Japan in 2, Brazil in 3, the strong USA team in 4, New Zealand in 6, France, so patriotic, roars again from the crowd inside the La Défense Arena for the home team, and Turkey in lane 8. First 50 metres complete, Japan turned first, then New Zealand, then Brazil. What do you make of this British 4x2 team for the women, Steve?
Well, they've gone with a strong team this morning. Not many options to bring in any fresh arms and legs tonight. So, you know, Britain clearly concerned here about making it through to the finals, that they'll desperately want to do. A little bit concerned here about Freya Anderson. She always has a methodical stroke, but she's just looking a little bit lethargic there, and she's lost a metre or 2 at a very early stage.
So at the second turn, New Zealand still in front, America second and Brazil third. Freya Anderson is just lagging at the moment. 75 metres or so to go. Swimming here in lane 5 in the bright red British swimming cap, and turning her head each time, every couple of strokes, towards us in our commentary position, sitting alongside this pool. This New Zealand team still going well. These are the first swimmers of 4 in this women's 4x2.
Yeah, they started well here. The usual suspects, you know, America and New Zealand, France also. But look at Anderson now. She's gone to her legs and she's clawing her way back through this field.
Yeah, she is. She is powering. Freya Anderson for Great Britain. Erica Fairweather of New Zealand still leads. Over in lane 3, Brazil have suddenly stepped on the gas to get themselves in a good position. And Freya Anderson's really pulled it in the last 50 metres there. She's gone past the American swimmer Anna Peflowski, and there is the takeover. Abby Wood now into the water for Great Britain.
Well, I'm a little bit perplexed there at Freya Anderson's swim. It almost looked very lethargic over the first 100, and then she turned her on. I thought she could have perhaps posted a little bit of a faster time there, but GB in the mix.
Yeah, 4 teams clearly out in front at the moment. The swimmers almost shoulder to shoulder. Lanes 3 through to 6. Brazil, USA, Great Britain with Abby Wood, and New Zealand. Brazil turned first there, then America, then New Zealand, then Abby Wood for Great Britain. Smooth freestyle stroke, bringing these swimmers back down the pool. Got to pace yourselves carefully here in the 200 metres freestyle, and Freya Anderson really stepped it up in the last bit of her swim. Let's check in on the rowing with Chris Jones.
We are underway, Ali, in the final of the men's 4. Italy in lane 1, Great Britain lane 2, USA, New Zealand, Australia and Romania. What a race it was just now. Helen Glover and the women's 4 edged out. What can the men's 4 do now?
Okay, Chris, thank you. Continuing to watch the women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay qualification. 8 fastest teams go through across the 2 heats, and Abby Wood still very much in touch. And again, Steve Perry, it is these 4 teams at the moment: USA, Great Britain, New Zealand and Brazil out at the front of this race.
Yeah, really like what I'm seeing here from Abby Wood. She's got Gemmell, the American, firmly in her sight as she breathes towards it, and this is all they need to do, just stay in touch. Look at that turn from the Brit, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Abby Wood in good position here, coming down the last 50 metres or so of her race. 25 metres of that now to go. The Brazilian team still going strongly. Brazil, USA and Great Britain shoulder to shoulder at the moment as we reach the halfway stage of this women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay, and Abby Wood still powering through. She's going to get the touch first here. There is the takeover, and into the water goes Lucy Hope. For our listeners who haven't heard, Steve, in terms of the takeovers, you know, on the athletics track, the passing of the baton is absolutely crucial. How does it work in swimming?
Well, it's a risky business. That the person that's taken over, they start moving on the blocks and try to judge when the incoming swimmer gets their hand on the wall, and as long as their toes don't leave by the time the hand gets to the wall, they're good to go.
This is looking good for Great Britain so far. Lucy Hope, the 3rd swimmer in the water. This the first heat of the women's 4x2, and Great Britain in good shape here, about 3rd in this race at the moment. Back to the rowing, Chris.
700 metres to go, 700 metres gone in the final of the men's 4. USA lead from New Zealand, Italy, Australia, Romania and Great Britain in 6th, Jess Eddy. Is that a cause for concern? We're still a long way to go.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start from the Brits. They're being dropped by the front of the field. They're just sitting there around in the pack. A little across from the Americans, though, so they know the Brits have got speed. World and European champions. Pedigree is with them as they're pushing now into 4th.
Yeah, the boat was 4th in Tokyo, but they've recovered since then, double world champions. But as we saw just now with Helen Glover and the women's 4, all the form in the world can count for little when it comes down to these 2,000 metres, when the stakes are at their highest, the pressure is at its highest, and the opposition is performing at their highest as well. The USA lead the men's 4 from New Zealand and Italy, a couple of metres in it from 1st to 2nd and 2nd to 3rd, but Great Britain might have to get a move on here, and they are just starting to move in lane 2 now, Jess, edging ahead of Romania and Australia and coming across the 1,000 metre mark in 4th, half a boat's length away from the Italians in 3rd.
Yeah, pretty much a blanket there for the crews from 3rd down to 6th. Gold and silver out in front of USA, New Zealand, GB now. No, they have been beaten by the New Zealand crew in their heat. So they've been beaten once already at this regatta. They have that in the back of their heads. They have to here hold on to the Italians alongside them, push themselves up into bronze.
It's a 3 or 4 metre lead for the USA over New Zealand, then another few metres to Italy, and then about a metre or so to Great Britain, who are in 4th. Ollie Wilkes at bow, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson at stroke. All of them Olympic debutants. They never will have felt pressure like this, expectation like this, a crowd like this, as we move to 700 metres to go in the final of the men's 4.
All those miles, all those hard yards, all those weights lifted. This is the time now, GB. You're thinking this in your Olympic final. You know the work you've put in, the sacrifices you've made, and they're moving into bronze.
They have moved into bronze. USA lead, 6 metre lead, so almost a boat's length to New Zealand, then a couple of boats' lengths to GB or so. GB 17 metres behind the leaders, the United States. Gold might be an outside shot now, but with 500 metres to go in the men's 4 final, it's definitely a podium opportunity for this men's 4.
Well, this is a statement by USA. Silver medalists from the World Championships, and now they're leading over GB with clear water. New Zealand in 2nd, They have 500 metres now, GB, in a strong bronze position, but the Italians can sprint.
Italians in lane 1, GB in lane 2. It looks like Romania and Australia are out of it in lanes 5 and 6. We keep eyes on the USA with 400 metres to go. What a performance this is from the USA, who've had a disappointing regatta up till now. They're neck and neck with New Zealand, and now GB are starting to motor. They've gone past Italy, and can they, with 300 metres to go, start to threaten this USA and New Zealand pair, who are bow to bow at front, and it's a boat's length, maybe just more back to GB in third.
Well, it is an absolute battle at the front of the field. USA, New Zealand, but GB are looking strong in bronze right now.
It was so close just now in the women's 4. Helen Glover and her team edged out by the Netherlands. It looks like it's going to be USA or New Zealand who joust for gold here in the men's 4, but Team GB have a decent lead of about 4 metres, almost a boat's length on the Italians now. It's the USA who are digging really deep with 130 metres to go. They've got a third of a boat's length on New Zealand. That's a few metres or so. Can GB hunt down the Kiwis who are looking to their left? It looks like it's going to be bronze for Britain. The USA, with 40 metres to go, are coming up to the line. They're going to be the Olympic champions in the men's 4. The USA cross the line, second New Zealand, and GB will hold on for a comfortable bronze from Italy in 4th. It's bronze for the men's 4. No wild celebrations. They would have had eyes higher up the podium. But it's a medal, another medal, a third of the morning for Team GB, and they're slapping the water. I'm not sure if that's in joy or frustration or a bit of it all, Jess.
Yeah, I think the guys there, they went out to win this race, world champions, but they know they were beaten in the earlier rounds this regatta. At that point, you've got to really look at your race plan, look at your programme, and look at how best to get onto that podium. And to be fair, they've done it. A bronze medal for the men's 4. I think that was good today.
USA win the gold in the men's 4, New Zealand the silver, and Great Britain, Adrian, take the bronze. So a bronze for Becky Wilder, Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne in the women's double. The team from Ireland, Philip Doyle and Dara Lynch with a bronze in the men's double. Silver for Helen Glover and the women's 4, and it's a bronze for the men's 4 of Ollie Wilkes, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson.
Jess, on the feed, we get the stroke rate come up, and I'm not quite sure what we're looking for there. Do you want it to be high? Do you want it to be low? I mean, is it quantity or quality in terms of strokes?
Yeah, good question. So it's how many strokes you're taking in a minute. You can only physically take a certain amount of strokes in a minute. So in the middle of the race, you're probably down taking about 35, 36, 37 strokes a minute, depending on what boat class you're in. But if you see a crew there up in taking 40 plus strokes a minute, they've probably got nowhere to go. You know, they're absolutely flatlining it. So it's quite an interesting metric to look at to see at the finish of that race if a crew is already going full pelt really towards the line, has another crew got a few more strokes in their back pocket to start using against you.
But I was surprised at the variation all the way through the race. It didn't correlate with who was in, you know, with the placings at that moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't. So it's basically physics of a rowing boat. You can change the length of an oar. You can move the little tiny gate that the oar sits in to make your pivot point either harder or lighter. So it depends on how we call it rigged. How's the boat rigged? And you can certainly change that. You might also change it with conditions. Today's calm, flat. If it was a huge headwind pushing against us, you might want a bit lighter rig because it's quite hard to row against that wind. So they do vary. You're going to see a lot of crews mid-race pace up in the high 30s, 37, 38, 39.
So the heart rate will be right up to max or near as damn it.
Yeah,
so well past the anaerobic sort of threshold, lactic acid all over the place. But how long does it take for it to come down to something approaching normal afterwards?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so rowing's a power endurance sport. So we go anaerobic. You can only really sit in your anaerobic zone unless you're a top-class sprinter between 10 and 20 seconds. You then come into that kind of high aerobic zone. So you've got the lactic acid still of the pain of that first 10, 15 seconds, and you're holding on. And then actually we ask everyone then to sprint towards the finish line. So imagine that. You're already burning. You're trying to be high aerobic, and then you sprint. So it depends on the athlete you are. Some people spend an hour cooling down. You could go on the rowing machine for afterwards for about half an hour. You could do 5, 6, 7 kilometres just to cool down. Some people can drop it straight away. So it really depends what kind of beast you are, really. But they know this to a point, to a minute. They've practiced their cool downs, their recovery sessions. They know what to take on board, protein, carbohydrate-wise, and cooling vest. But right now, for these guys, no recovery needed.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a slow start, wasn't it? And then might wonder what happened there, Adrian. It just, it's 2,000 metres. It's such a long race that you can have a slow start and recover. But they were just always playing catch-up, held off the Italians brilliantly. And when they look at it in the cold light of day, I think that men's forward will be happy with bronze, but we'll just wonder whether, if they'd done things differently at the start, where they could have hunted down the USA and New Zealand. But it's still a bronze medal and a brilliant effort from the men's 14.
Well, I was talking to Andy Hodge, one of our sort of pioneering rowers, I should say, one of the our first greats, and he said something that stuck in my mind. He said he'd sit on the starting line and say, "I am going now to break my body. I'm going to break my body so to get into that finish line." And it's one of those moments I thought, hang on, is this good for you? There's a difference between being fit and being healthy, isn't there?
Yeah, it's probably not that good for you. I don't think any Olympic sport is particularly good for you, to be honest. I think we all, it's if you're listening, it's good to go out there and keep active. But the level that these athletes go to, and the trials and tribulations they put their body through, and then actually when you get to that start line, it is technical, it's rhythmical, it's about the race plan, but it's physical, and you have to see who wants to. I said it earlier, stick your hand in the fire for longest. Who can make themselves hurt more than the person next to them?
Thanks very much, Jess Eddy and Chris Jones. Be back with you later. Let's go back to the swimming though. Steve and Ali.
Yeah, last heat of the morning, Adrian. This is the second heat of the women's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. You heard half of the first heat there. Great Britain in the end, Steve Parry, third fastest in the heat, time of 7 minutes 53.49 seconds. USA were the quickest, then Brazil in second. Great Britain got themselves ahead of New Zealand. How would you have rated their swim? It'll be good enough to get into the final.
Yeah, they've done what they needed to do to get through. I'm marginally concerned. Couple of the swimmers in there, we had Hope going 1:59 and Harris going 1:59. I'd like to see more like a 1:57, 1:58, but I'm not privy to what the team orders are on there. We do have Freya Colbert that could come in for one of the swimmers tonight, and that could push us in towards contention for the medals.
Yeah, Freya Colbert, who performed well in the women's 400 metres individual medley, just missed out on the podium there, finished fourth. Freya Anderson, Abby Wood, Lucy Hope and Medi Harris swam this morning. It is such a difficult event, though, to get a medal in. I was mentioning the quality of the Olympic final in Tokyo 3 years ago. China took the gold, then USA, then Australia. In this heat we are watching here, China are well back. We're coming to the halfway stage. Australia are well in front. Jamie Perkins is about to hand over to Brianna Throssell. In second place here over in lane 2 we have the Hungarians. The Israelis are going well as well, but the Olympic champions China, swimming in lane 5, are well off the pace.
Yeah, they really are, and they won this event at the last Olympic Games, and they really had a mixed meet. China. We saw Pan breaking the world record yesterday in the Blue Ribbon event on the 100 free, but a lot of their swimmers just haven't turned up here. Australia, I think they pretty much have this event in the bag. They're so stacked on the 200 metres freestyle. They're going to be very, very confident tonight, much to the Americans' annoyance.
Well, could make changes to the team as well. Brianna Throssell is swimming for the Australians at the moment. Shayna Jack is going to take the last leg, but this is a dominant swim from the Australian team. Their closest challengers are Hungary, good 5-6 metres behind at the moment. Throssell comes to the turn. She's got 100 metres to do, and then we're into the last swimmer of these heats. In terms of what else has gone on this morning, Katie Shanahan and Honey Osrin for Great Britain, both through to the semi-finals of the women's 200 metres backstroke. Same for Ben Proud in the men's 50 metres freestyle. He was 6th fastest in qualification. 3rd Olympic Games for him, and trying to win a first ever Olympic medal. Tom Dean and Duncan Scott also through to the semi-finals of the men's 200 metres individual medley. Duncan Scott actually finishing ahead of Léon Marchand. How dare he in his heat this morning.
I love that front. It's so Duncan Scott. He's an understated chap, but he just loves throwing the cat amongst the pigeons.
Right, Australia still well in control here, heading towards the final takeover in this race. Brianna Throssell will hand over to Shayna Jack. Almost a 10-metre lead in this women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay, second semi-final, and you can be very careful. I guess, Steve, if you've got a big lead like that, you don't take any risks on the takeover. Wait for the touch, in you go. Let's not risk any sort of disqualification.
I'm surprised the Aussie coaches haven't said just make sure you physically give them a high five before they litter box. The only thing that can stop Australia from winning this event tonight is if they do a dodgy takeover. And you can get excited, but they've got Molly O'Callaghan and Ariana Titmus to come in on this 200 free, the two fastest swimmers in the world ever on this event.
Liu Yaxin for China is getting them back into this heat here. Trying to make up some ground. I mean, miles behind the Australian team, but in terms of trying to qualify for the final, starting to pick up ground on the other swimmers in the race. Hungary still in second place, just over 100 metres to go here in the pool this morning, and the Australian team utterly dominant. Shayna Jack stroking smoothly through the water, arms slicing into the glistening light blue surface in this beautiful pool. Fantastic arena here, the La Défense Arena in Paris. Looking forward to another great night of swimming action tonight. So Shayna Jack totally in control. Hungarian swimmer over in lane 2, Pana Ugrai still in second place, but coming on strongly for China is Liu Yaxin in lane 5, Steve.
Yeah, I've got eyes on clock here because I'm just a little bit of nervousness around Great Britain and their time. We've just got to make sure that 6 teams don't beat them here, but it looks fairly comfortable from here over the last 50.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on the times as they come in. No doubt about who is going to win this heat. It's the Australians, favourites for the gold medal on this performance. Shayna Jack with 25 metres to go. Bit of a dust-up for second place in the race at the moment between the Hungarians, the Canadians and the Chinese. But Shayna Jack into the last 5 metres of her swim, applauded to the finish by her teammates. Australia win that heat. It's going to be tight for second spot here. Hungary may just get there ahead of China. They do. Hungary, China, and then Canada in 4th. Italy take 5th, and the winning time from the Australians, 7 minutes 45.63. So that is a much quicker heat than the first heat we saw, and that was always going to be the danger for Great Britain, who were third fastest in that first heat. So we're just going to wait for the times to update on the screen to see if they've got into the final by being one of the 8 fastest teams.
Yeah, and they'll be waiting just around the corner here on the edge of poolside to make sure that they have got in. But that was a dominant performance, that, from Australia. The world record has to be under threat tonight. What a race that'll be.
So just waiting here, Adrian. Right, it's just updated in front of me. Great Britain are into the final, 7th fastest overall. Came 3rd in that first heat. They've squeaked into the final tonight. Very difficult to see anyone beating the Australians in that. That was a very impressive swim from their team.
Steve, there was something I wanted to ask you that I heard Duncan Goodhue talking about the importance. When our lad missed out by 0.02 of a second, and Duncan said that his hand had gone up at the finish, so he touched with the palm of his hand rather than the fingertips, which instinctively you put your palm up because it's so potentially painful if you hit it head on with your fingertips. I'd never thought of that before.
No, absolutely. And if you touch with your palm, you're losing about 10 to 15 centimetres versus touching with your fingers. But swimmers don't get a lot of injuries, but one of the most common one is a fractured or a broken finger, because you are touching that wall with so much power. Now, the fact of the matter is, if you go fingertip first, that race would have been won. But you are fighting your instincts on doing that because you are hitting it with such force. Naturally, you do want to hit it with your palm.
I mean, is there no end to the cruelty of sport and what you put yourself through? So you do all that, your arms and legs going like pistons, then you end up breaking a finger to boot.
It's and that's without mentioning the 4 years in an Olympic cycle where you're getting up every morning at 4:30 in the morning to get down to the pool to swim 7 or 8 kilometres, then having a big hearty breakfast, getting in the gym for another hour, going home maybe for a sleep, coming back in the evening doing some calisthenics, another 7 or 8 kilometres in the water, and repeating that for 363 days a year. It's whatever glory these guys get, they absolutely deserve it, Adrian, in my book.
And the flying Frenchman was at it today. Is he showing no signs of fatigue? It wouldn't surprise me if he turned up in the decathlon next week.
Do you know what? He's such a baby face. but he gets the job done. He's just got this disarming smile that he has, but he's absolutely lethal in the water. And Duncan Scott beat him, but we shouldn't get excited. He was just managing his programme this morning, Leon Marchand, and I have no doubt he will win that 200 metres individual medley. He's absolutely on form here. The crowd are really getting him through it as well. This arena of 17,000 spectators has produced the best atmosphere of a swimming pool I've ever been in, and I think we should do more of it. Get these temporary pools up, get us inside arenas, and let the people enjoy the sport.
And we should say GB have had a good show in all these heats. I'm just looking at some of the semi-finals and finals come up, and there's GB representation in them to look forward to.
There is this morning. I mean, in terms of the swimming this morning, Adrian, as I was mentioning, Katie Shanahan and Honey Osrin through to the semi-finals of the women's 200 metres backstroke. We'll see them swim tonight. Ben Proud as well. As Steve was saying, I think he, more than any other British Olympic athlete on the swimming team, Steve desperately wants to see him get on the podium at an Olympic Games. Fantastic 50-metre freestyle swimmer, 6th fastest this morning, so he's on through into the semi-finals. Tom Dean and Duncan Scott will be chasing Leon Marchand as best they can in the men's 200-metre individual medley semi-finals and the women's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. Great Britain into the final, but medal hopes, I'm not so sure. 4 finals tonight, Adrian. Women's 200 metres butterfly, men's 200 metres backstroke, women's 200 metres breaststroke, I'm tired just thinking about all of this, and the women's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. Those are the medal events tonight, but we've got tons of semi-finals, and Leon Marchand is going to be back in the pool again. And I don't think I will ever forget the experience of last night, Adrian, in this arena, watching Leon Marchand complete that double, that historic Olympic double that's never been done before, particularly the first swim when he won the 200 metres butterfly. It was just breathtaking, world-class sport.
Thanks very much, Ali Bruce Ball and Steve Parry. It's just gone 11:30. Let's get the news and sport.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The 5 Live News with Dina Campbell. 2 children injured in the stabbing attack at a dance class in Southport on Monday have been discharged from Alderhay Hospital. In a statement, the hospital says it is continuing to treat 5 other children who were hurt, and they remain in a stable condition. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old boy has appeared at Liverpool Magistrates Court charged with the murder of 3 young girls during that attack in Southport. He's been remanded in custody and will appear at Liverpool Crown Court later today. Family doctors in England have voted overwhelmingly in favour of taking protest action as part of a dispute about the government's latest funding contract. More than 98% supported taking action, which includes limiting the number of patient appointments to 25 a day. Some GPs see over 40 a day at certain times. The Israeli military says it's received intelligence that confirms that the head of Hamas's military wing was killed in Gaza last month. Mohammed Daif was targeted in an Israeli strike on a compound in the Khan Yunis area.
This August, we're putting you at the heart of the action. Formula One, the 100, and US Open Tennis, all live this August.
Listen on BBC Radio 5 Live
and 5 Sports Extra.
Paris 2024, the Olympic Games.
with Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Let's go back to the Château de Versailles and Sonia McLaughlin, where another GB rider has entered the ring, I believe, Sonia.
Yeah, it's Harry Chiles on Romeo 88 in gorgeous sunshine. And so far, of these 14 jumps, he's just stretched across the water. Now he's going to a big oxer, which is 2 fences put together at the same height to form a big spread, and he's going nicely, Harry Chiles. If I tell you, Adrian, you were talking about what these athletes, some of them, go through to become Olympians, as Harry Chiles swings round to the penultimate fence. It's a treble over the upright. Oh, he's taken the middle pole down of the upright. He's just coming through to the last fence. Oh, he just caught the middle part of that treble immediately below me here. But 4 faults, this is just qualifying, I should stress. It's 20 teams, 3 riders per team, as he just sort of eases down from a canter to second gear, the trot, and then into walk. 20 teams, 3 riders each. You come in, you jump 1 round, which is against the clock, so you can get jumping penalties. He got 4 in that case, the middle part of the treble, and you can also get time penalties, but you don't want those if you can avoid it. So you have to get a bit of a wiggle on over these 14 fences. It's 17 jumping efforts because there are 2 combinations on the course as well, and then they crunch the numbers, and at the end you get the top 10 teams will go through to tomorrow's team final. The cream rising to the top here. The Swedes won the team gold last time out. They've had 2 riders go clear so far, so they are sitting at the top of the log. Britain actually goes second because their overall penalties of 4 is level with Ireland, who are also level on 4. So they are the top 3 at the moment, Adrian. And just to say, if you were talking about what Olympic athletes go through, Harry Chiles, who has just ridden there for Britain, fractured his arm in 2 places a month ago. He had it pinned, and at one point, not long after, he had his entire right arm in a cast from the shoulder to the wrist. And he thought his Olympics was done. He competed at Hickstead, a ground in Sussex, 4 days ago in a huge international meeting there. He rode with his arm in a cast just to test it out. And here he is in the Olympic arena with metalwork in his right wrist. And he is competing at the elite level of show jumping, having broken his arm in 2 places just a month ago. Mad.
Thanks, Sonia. And in a similar spirit, I can tell you that our skateboarder, Sky Brown, has dislocated her shoulder, I'm afraid. She won a bronze in Tokyo. She's now being looked after by Team GB doctors and is still intending to compete next week in the women's park skateboarding. This comes off the back of her tearing her MCL in her knee in May. Good heavens. Let's go back to the golf. Ian Carter.
Yes, Adrian, it's a fantastic scene at Le Golf National. Huge galleries, really boisterous support, especially for the French players. Mathieu Pavon and Victor Perez are out there on the course, but it's a Japanese player who's setting the pace. Hideki Matsuyama, 4 birdies in a row to the 11th. Could have made it 5 in a row, but missed a short opportunity there. He's at 6 under par. He's leading the way by 1 from Matti Schmidt of Germany, who was out in the first group. But things looking pretty good from a GB perspective with Tommy Fleetwood. He's just rolled in a lengthy birdie putt to move to 3 under par through 11 holes. Ireland's Rory McIlroy has just eagled the 9th. He's gone to 3 under par as well. But a disappointing start for Matt Fitzpatrick. Got very unlucky on the first. His second shot from the rough caught what they call a flyer. Flew much further than he was anticipating, hit a cart path and careered through the back of the green almost onto the second tee, and from there he could only make a bogey. So he's currently at 1 over par. There's a hot pace being set, as I say, and the world number 1 Scotty Scheffler is right up there as well, playing alongside McIlroy and starting the back 9 like McIlroy at 3 under par within 3 shots of the lead.
It's a relatively new Olympic sport, obviously. I just wondered how much consideration went to the format, because you could have done match play, it could have been a team event a la the Ryder Cup, and I suppose there's all sorts of other options you could have gone for, but they've gone for... Well, they've gone for the simplest, the most obvious, I suppose. And look, and it's all great. I just wondered if they thought of anything else.
Yeah, the perception is they've gone for the bog standard 72-hole aggregate score, just as they have at all PGA Tour events, DP World Tour events. I think, to answer your question, a lot of consideration went into it, especially when the application to get golf back into the Olympics hadn't been there for 112 years until it came back at Rio in 2016. And the feeling was that it should come back as the most legitimate form of the game, because if you're going to attract the players to play, they didn't think that there should be any kind of gimmicks as far as that was concerned in terms of making team formats. I think there's a feeling now that there are developments that could be made, and one of them going forward could well be incorporating a mixed competition, using the gap between the men's event and the women's event, so that the leading men and women could team up in that gap and go for a mixed medal outcome. So we wait to see whether that will be the case in Los Angeles. But one thing I would say, I was sceptical about 72-hole format, but actually it works out very well. I remember fully in Rio following Charlie Hull of Great Britain as she was vying for a bronze medal. She was sort of 2 shots behind third place, and we were interrupting the football on the first day of the football season to report on her progress. Well, there's no other format where I'd be doing that at a golf tournament, that someone was in sort of striking range of third place. And you think back to the men's event in Tokyo, there was a 7-way playoff for a bronze medal, which included Rory McIlroy, was ultimately won by Taiwan's CT Pan, and that brought some real drama as well. So I think people kind of go 72 holes, stroke play, well, that's a bit boring, but actually it does suit the Olympics pretty well, I think.
And I wonder what the players' attitude to it is generally. I mean, do you expect them to say the right things?
Yeah.
Certainly the ones who are there. But what's your assessment?
I think it's changed radically. There was a great deal of scepticism, not much enthusiasm really, when the games came back on the picture in 2016. Remember the Zika virus? A lot of players used that as an excuse not to go. Rory McIlroy was among them, and they didn't really express much regret that they weren't in Rio. But they saw Justin Rose win, beating the Open champion Henrik Stenson. They saw what that meant to those players and the impact that it had. There was a better turnout for Tokyo, which of course was COVID hit. And here, everyone in the upper echelons of the game who is eligible has turned up. So we've got 10 of the top 15 in the world rankings, and only those that are missing from that top 15 are Americans, and you can only have 4 from one country in there, and so they just didn't qualify under the qualification rules. So there's a great deal more enthusiasm for it, and looking at the crowds, looking at the way that they're being received, it looks very successful so far this time round.
Ian, thanks very much. Let's go to the rowing. Maz Faruqi joins us. Maz?
Thank you, Adrian. I've got 2 of the 4 members of Great Britain's 4 who won silver medals, debutantes, Esme Booth and Sam Redgrave with me. Guys, reaction then to getting the silver medal, because obviously we know that so much of the build-up was about getting the gold.
Yeah, I think we came out here to try and get the gold, but I think still it's no mean feat. We've first Olympics, won a silver medal. I think that's something I'll be forever proud of, and we've been on a long journey to get here, but I'm so proud of everything we've done, and we couldn't have done any more. So, yeah.
When it was coming up to 200 metres to go, you guys obviously moved in front. We were wondering, if you would keep it going at that point, and then somehow or other the Dutch just found a way to come back at you.
Yeah, I think we believed it the whole way. We believed we could do it. That's what we decided. That's how we wanted to attack this race. And sometimes you just fall on the wrong side of it. It's unfortunate. And like Esme said, I think we've done ourselves really proud. Like, if you told me I was going to come away with a silver medal at the Olympics when I first started rowing, I just would have been gobsmacked. So really trying to enjoy everything we've just done and be really proud of that.
Talk us through the tactics of the race, because watching it seemed to us that Helen was making the calls from the bow.
Yeah, I think it's me that makes the calls, so it's having that race plan ready. It's the same thing that we execute time and time again. We all know what it is, especially with crowds this big. Sometimes you can't quite hear it, so there's a bit of communication between Helen and I. It's our job to try and read the race and to try and make changes as we go down. I think everybody, was pitching in, trying to get those bows ahead. But yeah, ultimately we followed our plan the whole way down.
For you guys as debutantes then, how does this feel now to be on the podium, to experience Olympic Games like this? I imagine it makes you want to do it again and again.
Yeah, it's definitely something unbelievable, unreal. But it's just been so fantastic. the organisers here, the coaches supporting us, the people back home, they've been so fantastic, and it's really made this experience that much more enjoyable, like that much more special.
And just finally, obviously, Tokyo, a lot was made about how it wasn't really a rowing meet that was good for Great Britain. We've become used to such high standards down the years. You guys already, it's another 3 medals today. I mean, I know it wasn't the goal, but optimism and emotions must be running really high at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Emotions are very high. I think just, reiterating that point as well, having friends and family here, coming through that line, looking up at the stands and knowing that my parents are there, my best friends are there. It's an amazing feeling knowing people are watching at home. And thanks to everyone that's watched and supported us, thanks to the National Lottery and all the players and everybody that supported us to get here.
They've all been cheering you on. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Matt, I don't know how they get through it, the rowers, but you've been down there the whole time. I mean, as reporting on it, there's something about rowing, even though I've never rowed, I feel as if I'm in the boat somehow in those agonising last sections. I'm sure my heart rate is going up. It's just so agonising, those last 50, 100 metres.
Tony, our mixed zone here, so where I'm speaking to you now, is right just past the finish line, and obviously we are therefore right here when we see the rowers finish their race and the physical pain that they are going through. I mean, obviously they're still on the water, they can't move too much, they don't want to unbalance, unsettle the boat, but you can just see here it really hits home just how physically demanding, how taxing it is. You do frankly sometimes see some of them feeling like they want to be physically ill because they put their body through so much to get to this point. I mean, it's an absolutely brutal sport, and as you say, it's so hot here, the humidity is very high as well. I mean, the physical conditions for these guys are really, really tough, and they are some of the fittest athletes I think I've ever watched. I mean, absolutely brilliant performance. I know it wasn't gold for the women's 4 today, and I have to say Helen Glover's just walked past me and she does look disappointed, but as you heard there from the 2 debutantes, silver for them is something that they will absolutely cherish.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll bring different perspectives to it, even though they're all in the same boat, literally. I know you've spoken to Matilda Hodgkins-Byrne and Rebecca Wild. Now, they won a surprise bronze. I assume they were delighted with that in the double sculls. Let's hear what they had to say to you, Maz.
Well, congratulations on the bronze. I mean, given as well sort of how late you got this boat into this Olympics, how does it feel?
Quite surreal, but I think we had an incredible training camp, so it's not a massive surprise. Like, we both knew what we could do, but then to be able to go and do it is completely different. We're just in luck. It's very surreal.
Going through the rounds, you were looking good, we were confident. Were you guys talking about that? I imagine it looked like you were feeling good. Were you optimistic today?
Yeah, I think so. Like, we had a really good semi. After the semi, both of us right, we're on for a medal. But that wasn't a very good row, and if anything, it was probably one of our worst rows out of the competition. So to come away with bronze and know what we could do on technically not our best day, shows how strong we are as a double.
During the race, it was so tight. At one point we thought, is it going to be bronze? Is it going to perhaps be another medal colour? I mean, how did it feel out there, certainly as you kind of got into that second 1,000 metres?
I'm quite calm, I think. I don't know if you saw the semi. From watching it back, it was very close. For me in the boat, I didn't actually call the last sprint because I was quite confident. So whether I'm kamikaze or confident, I'm not sure. I'm very good at staying calm, and Becky's brilliant. She never looks out, so she trusts me to say everything. And I'm lucky enough that I've been calling a boat for long enough that I could feel we were probably okay. And just as long as we kept together and made our moves, we were probably going to be able to come off on the podium in the last K. So yeah, very glad when the finish line came.
You've talked in the build-up about what it means to be a mother here competing. I mean, have you been able to see your son? And I guess for you as well, it must feel really special to get this achievement with him able to watch as well.
Yeah, he was actually he was in the grandstand off the finish line, so we've both seen him now. He doesn't understand. I understand. I think my family, it's probably more significant even as well to them because they've been part of my support network that's got me here. Equally, the Kiwis are both mums, so I hope it inspires some other mums out there to follow their dreams and push as far as they can with it.
Yeah, I imagine it's a juggle, isn't it? Like trying to do everything, the feedings, the getting up in the night with your training, with having to fuel as well. Does moments like these, moments like that, when you cross that line with a podium finish, make it all worth it?
Absolutely, and I think in the lead into this, it gave me a lot of confidence. There's been numerous nights where I've been sleeping on the floor with Freddie or not slept much, but still gone to training or done testing and got the results. So knowing that I didn't need the perfect night's sleep, in fact, probably didn't need that much sleep, really meant I wasn't stressed coming into this. And equally, Becky then was able to be like, well, she can do it, I can do it. And yeah, we were able to see that actually we didn't need to lose stress the other things around, and yeah, went and performed today.
Amazing, Maz. And you'll be speaking to the men bronze winners later.
Yeah, it's interesting there hearing from Matilda Hodgkins, Byrne, Adrian, as you saying, her and Rebecca Wild, absolutely delighted with that bronze in the women's double sculls. I think, to be honest, we weren't perhaps expecting them to get a podium finish given how late they qualified for this Olympic meet, as Chris Jones was explaining earlier. But I think we'll have a similar situation if we do get to speak to the men's four later, as we perhaps have seen written on the face of Helen Glover here just by me, in that they were really going for gold in their men's four final. They qualified with the third fastest time, but remember, they are the world and European champions heading into this meet. So we might have a little bit of mixed emotions when we speak to David, Matt, Freddie and Ollie later.
Thank you very much, Maz. We look forward to hearing from you again later. Let's just bring you up to date on some news that we've had in the past hour or so, that GPs across England have voted overwhelmingly to take collective action amid a row over the new contract for services in England. There's an awful lot to unpick here. Nick Triggle's our health correspondent. Nick, just give us the background to this, and I'm sure you'll have to explain something which most of us are unaware of, that the way in which GPs contract for services.
Well, this has been bubbling away for a few months. A lot of the attention, certainly when it comes to NHS industrial action, has been on junior doctors, but GPs have been expressing concern about the amount of funding they're given. Now, they're not like hospital doctors in that they're not employed directly by the NHS. They're essentially small businesses, so they get a lump sum of money every year to run GP services. And this year, the increase in the funding was just below 2%, although they have actually got a little bit more to put in towards pay subsequently. But what has happened today is that in a ballot of British Medical Association members, 98%, in fact just over 98%, voted to take collective action. And by that, it is essentially a work to rule. So the BMA is telling its members that they can limit the number of patients that they see a day to around to 25. Now, it's not, some GPs are seeing over 40 patients a day, so that could significantly restrict the access to GPs. And we know that patients find it quite difficult already to get appointments at GPs, so that could create problems. But NHS England have warned, actually, the knock-on impact could be much wider. It could lead to more people going to A&E. It could cause problems discharging patients or just getting some of those tests and assessments done. Hospitals rely on GPs sometimes to do some of that follow-up care, so it could have wider implications than just the ability of patients to get to see their GP.
But the GPs I know might well take the view that they're just slightly shooting themselves in the foot by if they do this and restrict the number of patients, because, OK, that might create a problem for the patient and it might well put pressure elsewhere in the system if they go to AE or whatever. But, ultimately, the workload isn't going to go away. That patient will come back to the GP sooner or later. It'll create more work to catch up with further down the line.
Yes, I think that's right, Adrian. It is very unclear just what sort of impact this will have. I mean, first of all, only around a third of GPs are members of the British Medical Association. But you can imagine a strike is very black and white. You withdraw your labour, you're on the picket line, you're not at work. But when you're at work, you can imagine a GP, maybe they're aiming to limit their patients to 25 a day, but then at the end of the day, when they've got patients who urgently need to see them, what are they going to do? So you can imagine the lines are very blurred. There's other options open to GPs. In fact, the British Medical Association have suggested a collection of 10 different things they can do, including ignoring guidelines for rationing the amount of referrals that they make, which could put more pressure on hospitals and stuff. But I think you're right. A lot of GPs might feel uncomfortable about disrupting what is an already under pressure system. So we'll have to wait and see to find out exactly what sort of impact this will have.
But if you're essentially self-employed, how could you strike? And if you strike, you're employed, you don't get paid, obviously. Well, does that mean this lump sum that the GPs are paid as businesses to run their businesses, that will be cut in some way because of this strike action, if we can call it that?
Well, what the BMA have done, they've been quite careful with their wording on the action that GPs can take, and they believe it's not in breach of their contract that the things that they've suggested they can do in this work to rule are actually things they're doing an extra on top of what they're being paid for. So they argue it's not a breach of their contract, won't affect their funding. It's not a formal sort of strike industrial action mandate. Hence, they've only got the ballot result today, and they've been able to say we can enact it immediately. If it was a strike action, they'd have to give 2 weeks' notice. So this is a slightly grey area. GPs haven't taken any sort of action since the 1960s.
Yeah. So how soon? Okay, so this could start more or less straight away. I suppose as a patient, you'd want to know. I mean, I haven't got a clue whether my own GP is in the BMA or not.
Well, actually, that's something Health Watch England, the patient watchdog, has now urged GPs to make clear on their websites and their information for patients, whether they are involved in this action, what they're actually doing, and where else patients could go if they need support. So we'll have to see. As I say, GPs are free to start taking this action today, but it will be up to them whether they do it.
Okay, Nick Triggle, our health correspondent, thanks for that. Let's go back to the Olympics, to the hockey, to Sarah Orchard, where GB are in action against the home side.
Yeah, that's right. Great Britain's men, this is their second to last pool match, and if they can beat the French today, it guarantees them a place in the quarterfinals of this Olympic hockey competition. It's Great Britain 0, France now. Now, Great Britain, they are easy favourites for this. They've come into this tournament ranked second in the world. France are down at 9th, but it is very safe for me to say that France are not known as a hockey nation. They have got back into their hockey as a result of being hosts of the Olympics. If I tell you that before this tournament they hadn't actually qualified for the hockey at the Olympics since 1972, you kind of get the emphasis they've tried to really place in their hockey over the last 6 years or so to sort of drag them up the rankings. But yes, Great Britain's certainly favourites for this.
And how's it panning out so far? We're only 5 minutes in, all square at the moment. Is it following a pattern you might have expected?
Well, we're actually 10 minutes into the first quarter because the clock goes backwards, just to confuse you a little bit.
Oh,
here,
right,
Adrian.
okay, sorry.
So,
my mistake. Sorry.
I know. So we play 4 quarters of 15 minutes. The clock goes backwards, and when we get to 0, that's the end of the first quarter. So 5 minutes to go. GB have certainly enjoyed far more of the possession than the French, but this is certainly the noisiest I have heard the Yves de Manoir Stadium because it's France that are in there. Plenty of shouting and singing going on. I have to admit the crowds at the hockey haven't been as big as perhaps they have been in other sports, but very noisy today. And Great Britain, despite all that noise and excitement that is surrounding this fixture, because France are hosts, they're certainly in charge so far with the score at 0-0.
And what awaits us as GB if we can get out of the pool group?
Yeah, we kind of have to play a little bit of a waiting game here to see. So at the moment, Great Britain actually down in 4th in the pool. There's 6 teams in the pool. This win today pushes them up, and it's the last one of this round of round 4 of pool games, and that guarantees the quarter-final. We've still then got one more round of matches. So Great Britain, they're actually playing Germany tomorrow, who are at the top of the pool. Important for GB to finish as high up as possible because that will determine who they place, of course, in the quarter-finals. Likely, I think, that
that will be Belgium or Australia at the moment. The Belgians, for the men, they're the reigning Olympic champions from Tokyo. My goodness, you want to avoid them. They've been on fire in this tournament so far. They've already scored 12 goals already, only had 4 scored against them, looking very strong to defend that title. So the higher you got the group, the less likely you are to meet the big guns. But I have to say, this men's hockey tournament at the Olympics, it is so tight. Everyone is so good coming into it. They've said this has been the most open men's hockey tournament that they've ever seen at an Olympic Games. And when these quarterfinals come in, I think it's going to be whoever turns up on the day.
And with the women later, there's no ifs or buts there, I think, is there? They've got to win.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Great Britain's women, they are in a little bit of a pickle at the moment, Adrian. They've had real mixed results so far. They finally got a win in their last outing. They managed to beat South Africa 2-1 yesterday, but they opened with a loss to Spain. Then they got absolutely thumped 4-0 by Australia. They're playing the USA today. They have to win that to try and put themselves in the quarter-final mix. If they lose that, there's an outside shot of them making the quarter-finals, but it will come down to other results going their way as well. So a win against USA today, that one is at 4 o'clock. It is going to be absolutely vital for them. And worth saying that when I say USA Hockey, they currently have an assistant coach, and I think, Adrian, you'll remember this name. Her name is Maddie Hinch, the Great Britain hero when it came to hockey and Olympic gold medals, particularly in Rio. So she's now on their coaching ticket, and she is going to know an awful lot about that GB side and how to try and bring them down.
Cheers, Sarah. We'll be back to you shortly. Sarah Orchard at the Hockey All Square between GB and France. It's exactly midday now. Let's get a news bulletin.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The 5 Live News with Dina Campbell. GPs have voted overwhelmingly in favour of taking industrial action as part of a dispute about the new contract for services in England. They want more than the government's proposed 1.9% funding increase for practices. 8,500 family doctors took part in the ballot, with more than 98% supporting action. And we've got a bit of breaking news. The Bank of England has just announced the latest interest rate decision. Our business reporter, Peter Ruddock, is here.
Yes, within the past few moments, the Bank of England has decided to cut interest rates by 0.25 percentage point from 5.25% to 5%. The move could have a near immediate impact on anyone with a tracker or standard variable rate mortgage, potentially lowering their monthly repayments. It's the first time the bank has cut rates in more than 4 years. It could also impact savings rates and fixed mortgage rates that are available on the market. We'll have more on this decision within the next hour or so. But just a reminder, the Bank of England has cut interest rates to 5%.
Thanks very much, Peter. In other news, 2 children who were wounded in a stabbing at a dance class in Southport on Monday have been discharged from hospital. 3 young girls were killed in the attack and 8 other people are still being treated for their injuries. A 17-year-old boy has appeared at Liverpool Magistrates Court charged with murder and attempted murder. He'll appear at Liverpool Crown Court later today. And Sir Keir Starmer is to hold an emergency meeting with senior police officers at Downing Street this afternoon to discuss the violence that broke out overnight linked to the Southport stabbings. There was unrest in Hartlepool, Manchester and Aldershot.
Whatever you're in the mood for this summer, find it on BBC iPlayer.
Aha! I'm in!
Dive into explosive US box sets like Suits.
The bar tried to get me to take over as managing partner. They can't do that. They can and they have.
Buckle up for original comedy with Black Ops.
This sounds dangerous.
It is. We'll do it.
Kate, will you stop just saying we'll do it?
Or binge on gripping drama like Kin.
We're going to have to increase revenue and that will mean expanding out of Dublin.
If we don't, find a new supplier. We're finished.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
It's day 6 of the Olympics. A very good afternoon to you. We have 2 bronzes and a silver in the rowing to add to GB's medals.
Can Wild and Hodgkins-Byrne hold on for bronze? I think they're going to get on the podium here. It's going to be tight. New Zealand win, second Romania, and it's bronze, a brilliant bronze for Britain.
That's bronze in the women's double sculls, another for the men's 4, but Helen Glover narrowly missed out on that 3rd gold medal.
Today we put it all out there. We raced the plan that we wanted to race. We raced together with so much heart, and there can't be regret in looking back and knowing you've done all you can.
In the tennis, Heather Watson and Katie Boulter are about to start their quarter-final at Roland Garros, and GB's men are taking on the host France in the hockey. Sarah Orchard watching for us.
We've just got a few seconds left until the end of the first quarter. It's still Great Britain 0, France 0. A win for Great Britain today, and they're into the quarterfinals.
We'll bring you every Team GB medal live here on 5 Live. You can also follow events on the BBC Sport website and app, or you can watch it on BBC One or the iPlayer.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Let's go the tennis. Jonathan Overend's watching at Roland Garros. Jonathan.
Good afternoon, Adrian. Well, yes, this is going to be a big match for Katie Boulter and Heather Watson, who I would say of all the British medal chances going into this Olympic tennis competition were perhaps one of the more unlikely contenders. However, they're about to start their quarter-final, as you say, so this takes them into the last four and a shot at a medal, and clearly make the final, and it's either gold or silver, but there will be a bronze medal match as well. Brilliant performances from them in their first two rounds. They've come out onto the court with smiles etched all over their faces, which they say has been a really key part of their preparation to enjoy this. They're not playing for ranking points or anything like that. They're playing for pride in the shirt. Watson, a brilliant player at the net. Boulter, one of the very best in the world now from the baseline. But they are taking on an established pair, the Italians of Sara Errani and Jasmine Paolini, who made the final of the French Open on these courts just a month or so ago. So it'll be a really hard match for Boulter and Watson. And make no mistake, if they do come through this, Adrian, we have to put them down as serious heavy medal contenders for Britain.
Well, GB expects a lot of you, Jonathan, as our international man of medals. Really putting in a shift so far at the Olympics is our man Jonathan. Tom Pidcock's gold medal, 2 silver medals, 2 bronze medals, and of course not forgetting Andy Murray's second round win with Dan Evans. A busy old week. And today, Jonathan, a new challenge. Let's have a listen. 3 venues in 3 hours.
Well, good morning. I'm at the tennis for most of the day. Murray and Evans later, Boulter and Watson later, but I've got a couple of hours before that begins. So I've set myself a challenge of coming to as many central Paris Olympic venues as I can in as short a space of time as possible, because there are some amazing venues at these Olympics, and I'm sitting in one of them at the moment. And as you can hear, what an atmosphere at the beach volleyball. I'm sitting underneath the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it's staring at me. It's incredible. It's iconic. And I've just watched a fabulous match. I mean, some of the great sport at these Olympic Games, in a match between Germany and Australia, where Germany have saved match points to beat the Aussies on the sand down there in front of a capacity crowd. And I mean, that really was something special. And the venue itself, I mean, have you seen any photos of this place, particularly at sunset? It is going to go down in Olympic history as one of the iconic Games venues. But anyway, the match is over, so that's me done in here, and let's see where I end up next. All right, venue 2 on my whistle-stop Parisian tour, but actually I'm ticking off 2, 3, 4 and 5 because I've come to Place de la Concorde, bigger square in the city, which they've transformed into this urban hub, if you like, this street sports square, and I love what they've done down here. They've created 4 different mini stadiums, although they're not so mini, all in the same place, and you have a ticket for one, you get onto the campus and you go and see whatever you've got your ticket for. We've got a couple of skate parks, we've got the BMX freestyle where Britain won a medal yesterday, and we've got the breaking and 3x3 basketball, which I particularly love because it's very theatrical. The stands are in a sort of semicircle around the stage, I would say, rather than a field of play, and it's got this circus big top above it. It's very, very unique. Love what they've done down here. It's got a really vibrant, youthful feel. The sport is great, and as I say, 4 venues in one place. I think that's better than venue 2, isn't it? It's 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's go and do a 6th. Okay, last stop on the tour, and I've come inside one of the famous old buildings of Paris, Le Grand Palais, and what they've created in here is extraordinary. They've built this huge temporary stand on scaffolding, which stretches right up to the ornate ceiling of the Grand Palais. And have a listen to what's going on in here at the fencing. Well, it helps that France are in action at the moment. There are 4 different matches going on, and these stands stretch to both sides of the field of play. And in one of the most famous buildings of Paris, there is action everywhere you look, and it's presented so well, and the crowds have been so big. And what I really love actually about these Olympic Games, and certainly what I've experienced over the last couple of hours, is how few permanent new structures there are. And this really is the future of major events, I believe. You know, not just building unlimited new stadium just for the hell of it that may never be used again, using masses and masses of concrete with fossil fuel providers here, there and everywhere. You know, this is a sustainable games. There are temporary arenas, but they look amazing. There are existing buildings, like here at the Grand Palais, that will go back to their everyday use once the Olympics are over. It's definitely the future, and hopefully future Olympic Games will look at Paris 2024 and say, that's the way forward.
I mean, there must be days, Jonathan, where you wish you were doing something different for a living, but today wouldn't be one of them.
No, there aren't many, if I'm honest, Adrian. Have badge, will travel, and I do think this has taken me by surprise. These Olympics, I didn't think they would be quite as good as they are, and I'm hearing the prices of the Eurostar for people who are sort of seeing it on the telly and kind of want to experience it, knowing it's so close, and they've skyrocketed. I was looking at buying a ticket for something a couple of weeks ago, which was available. Nothing's available anymore. So it's really captured the imagination of everyone who's lucky enough to experience it here, and I really think that about those venues, you know, as a serious point. Major events moving forward, football World Cups, Olympic Games, unsustainable the way we've done it in the past. So look at the way they've done it here as the template, I think, moving forward.
But if you need to get about in a rush again, I've got the number of a taxi bike bloke who's got a huge gold wing in Paris who will get you around at quite extraordinary speeds. You'll leave your fingerprints. It's got a big gold wing, Honda gold wing, and it's like an armchair on the back. But you'll leave your fingerprints in the arms of it, I tell you. But if you need a hand getting somewhere quick, he can. I'll give you his number.
Help. Well, that's the beauty of all those venues, and this is an absolute fact. All those venues I went to this morning over a 3-hour period, I walked to all of them, and between all of them, I haven't been on any mode of transport today other than my own feet and the first metro to get me to the Eiffel Tower. So it just goes to show they've really thought about that, I think, and created all these venues within quite a close proximity.
Mm-hmm. You've got Andy Murray to look forward to this evening.
Yeah, and yet again, Adrian, we set it up in the same way. This could be the last match of Andy Murray's career. And 7 times he's been 1 point away from retirement. I mean, just think about that for a second. 5 match points in the first round they saved. 2 match points in the second round in partnership with Dan Evans, who could be playing Washington out in the United States, a tournament he won last year, but has sort of said, no, I'm going to squander those ranking points and I'm going to play for Britain and I'm going to play with Andy Murray. How well they've done. It's going to be tough today against Taylor Fritz and Tommy Paul at the United States, 2 of the best singles players in the world. But from what they've shown so far, Murray and Evans, they're absolutely capable of winning it.
Cheers, Jonathan Overend. Thanks for that. Look forward to listening to you this afternoon and certainly this evening for the Murray match. Let's go back to the hockey. We're into the second quarter. Any daylight between GB and France yet, Sarah?
No, none yet. It's still France 0, Great Britain 0. France have just had a man sent into the bin for 2 minutes for a foul on a GB player. So we still got 12 minutes to go until half-time. I have to say, the thing about France, I was saying a little bit earlier, as much as they are here at this Olympic Games, they are ranked a long way below GB, but they're really fuelled by the crowd that is certainly behind them. It's whether GB can just hold in and wait for that to slightly fade and for the French players to tire. I mean, a lot of them play in Belgium now because there isn't just that pedigree from the French clubs. But at the moment, it is France 0, Great Britain 0, 12 minutes to go until half-time.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Let's catch up with the golf now. Ian, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's there's some spectacular golf being played, and Tommy Fleetwood for GB is going along nicely, 3 under par through 13 holes, so he's in a share of 8th place, along with two very ominous Americans. Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1, 3 under par through 11 holes, and a great start from Xander Schauffele, the recent winner of the Open Championship. He chipped in for a birdie at the first. He's picked up 3 birdies in his first 5 holes, so he is in that group at 3 under. Rory McIlroy in the group at 2 under. He's got a testing putt to stay at that mark on the 12th coming up. The leader is from Japan, Hideki Matsuyama, who's covered the first 13 holes in 7 under par, and he's 1 ahead of Chile's Joachim Niemann, who is 6 under par after 15 holes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's Ian Carter at the golf. We'll keep you updated from there. Meanwhile, back at home at just short of 12:15. Tell you a 17-year-old male is appearing at Liverpool Crown Court, charged with the murder of 3 girls in Southport on Monday. This follows a hearing at a youth court earlier this morning. The suspect, who can't be named for legal reasons, is also charged with 10 accounts of attempted murder and possession of a bladed article. And we also know that 2 children who were wounded in Monday's attack have now been discharged from hospital. North of England reporter Rowan Bridge joins us. Just run us through what's happened today, Rowan.
Yes, well, I'm outside Liverpool's court building, and it was at about 10:20 this morning when the 17-year-old arrived here in court for what was a pretty short hearing, about 5 minutes in front of District Judge James Hatton. The 17-year-old was dressed in a grey tracksuit, and he spent the whole hearing with his head buried in his top as the charges were read out to him. He was told that he's accused of 3 counts of murder and 10 of attempted murder. 8 of those involve children who have anonymity, but the 2 adults he's also accused of attempting to murder are Leanne Lucas and John Hayes. He also faces 1 count of possessing a curved kitchen knife. He was told that the case would go to Crown Court, and that Crown Court hearing is ongoing at the moment. So that's what's happening here. We also heard last night, when the charges were announced, the appeal from the authorities, from the Crown Prosecution Service and from Merseyside Police, for people not to speculate on the case, and particularly they're worried about people publishing anything online which could prejudice what is now a live legal case. Also worth noting that this is very much a live police investigation as well. They have been pulling in resources from across the northwest of England as part of that investigation, which I think gives you an idea of the scale of the operation that's still ongoing at the moment.
So what happens next?
Well, I mean, we wait to hear the outcome of the Crown Court hearing, and that will give us an update on what is happening with the 17-year-old. The police investigation carries on into the events of Monday, which led to this stabbing. And also there is a sort of clean-up and a rebuild, if you like, going on down in Southport. So if you go down to the scene, you will see hundreds of flowers have been laid at the police cordon, which is still in place at the moment. Teddy bears in particular, I think, a reflection of the age of the children affected. And then around the corner, you may be aware, there was this rioting that happened outside the mosque in Southport. And you have literally seen the rebuilding of a community. There were walls that were torn down, sort of garden walls that were torn down because people were using the bricks as missiles to throw at the police. And over the last couple of days, we have literally seen people rebuilding that community brick by brick, replacing those walls, trying to come together, bind together, and literally binding the walls back together in Southport.
There might still be listeners wondering why we aren't naming the 17-year-old. That is for legal reasons, you might want to clarify.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you are under the age of 18, unless a judge lifts an anonymity or lifts the anonymity, the person under the age of 18 has anonymity in a UK court. As this person is currently 17 years old, they have anonymity. Now, the media has the right to apply for that anonymity to be lifted, but it'll be up to a judge to decide whether to do so. We have seen in some other cases where criminal cases come to an end and anonymity has been lifted at that point. So if you remember the James Bulger case, for example, anonymity was lifted at the end of that case. But at the start of a court process, anybody under the age of 18 is treated as a child and they are automatically granted anonymity. That's why the media are not naming this person at the moment.
In a highly unusual move, it was in the middle of the night, basically, when we had the announcement at a press conference that somebody had been charged.
Yeah, I mean, that was incredible. I mean, that really struck me, because normally what you would expect in a situation like this is, I've dealt with previous cases where you will get emailed a press release by Merseyside Police giving you details of charges in a case. Having a press conference regarding charges is unusual. Having one at midnight, I think, is almost unheard of from what I can remember. And for that press conference to involve the most senior police officer in Merseyside Police and the Deputy Chief Crown Prosecutor for Merseyside and Cheshire, I think that gives you an idea of the sort of scale of the operation, the seriousness with which it is being treated, that those people came out at midnight to announce the charges last night, which, to my mind, is almost unheard of to have that set of circumstances.
Thank you. Thanks very much indeed, Rowan Bridge, North of England reporter. Let's speak to Peter Ruddick. Dramatic news on interest rates, is that fair to say? It's something a bit different.
Yes, indeed. What we've had a year of interest rates being held. So it was genuinely a pretty 50-50 sort of decision beforehand as well. I don't think anyone was able to call it. So in that case, as economic announcements go, I guess it's as dramatic as it comes. We have had that first cut in interest rates. It's the first time there's been a cut since the pandemic, since March 2020. It means that interest rates, the Bank of England's base rate, will go down from 5.25% to 5%. I know you love, Adrian, a voting pattern.
I wouldn't say love, I would say quite interested in.
Sure. Yeah. At 5-4, as close as it gets. There you go. And so 3 committee members switched their vote, which is why we have had this decision today. And one of those committee members was the governor himself, Andrew Bailey. And he has said, essentially, inflationary pressures have eased enough. Now, if that sounds pretty cautious, I think it's because it is. So he said that inflation has eased enough, so we've been able to cut rates today, but we need to make sure inflation stays low. And so that means don't expect interest rates to come down too quickly or by too much from here on in. So cautious as we go, I think, is the moment. But it's really important to mark this is a huge moment. We talk about turning points, and plenty of people will hope this is a turning point. If you have a tracker or a standard variable mortgage, then your monthly repayments could well change sort of fairly immediately. If you are on a fixed deal, it's coming to an end potentially, then the reality is you are still going to have probably a higher renewal when you come to do that. But this is a move in the right direction, especially if your fixed rate deal is coming to end a little way off. And of course, for businesses, we've had reaction from businesses already. This is a hope that potentially it could trigger some investment. And of course, the government will absolutely hope that's the case, because as we know, as we've discussed, Rachel Reeves, the new Chancellor, is making a bet on the economy growing. So that is a real hope for them as well.
And so what data will they be looking at sort of anxiously on this one to see if, because those who were against the cut will still have worries about inflation in the system. I wonder what they'll be looking at most carefully.
So I think the judgment, and the reason why beforehand plenty of people just really weren't sure where it goes, is that you can still make cases either way. So the headline inflation rate, as we know, is at the bank's target, and it has been for 2 months now. But dig into the detail, and if you look at core inflation, so you strip out the sort of the volatile energy and food price movements. If you look at services inflation, so the price you pay for hotel stays, restaurant meals, hairdresser appointments, for example, those things are a bit sticky and a bit stubborn, and they still are. But the judgment call is whether those sticky, stubborn elements are short-term and impacted by one-off things. So, for example, the price, the wage increases we've seen with the minimum wage, for example. And clearly, the decision today has been that the hope is those are short-term one-off things, but they will be paying attention to core inflation, to services inflation, and to wage price growth. And of course, we saw the Chancellor making those big public sector pay deals. Could that have an impact on the headline inflation rate? Those are the things they'll be paying really close attention to by the time they make their next decision. But as I say, we always read into the language, don't we, Adrian? And there is real caution. Yes, we've made a cut. Yes, it's a really significant moment, but don't expect there to be loads of cuts and loads of big cuts again in the months to follow.
And so how long do we wait is always the questions for the mortgage lenders, for example, to be easing the pain a little bit by lowering their rates. And I suppose, and the opposite applies with savers, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we will see. I get an email every day from a brilliant service which people can use called Moneyfacts, which kind of tracks the average rate that's available. And if you look at those emails of the past few days, the average mortgage rates that have been available have actually been coming down in recent days. That's because plenty of mortgage brokers and lenders, if you like, have been sort of making a bet that this would happen today, but we'll be paying very close attention to whether more follow. Absolutely. And as I say, with savings, it's quite often that the savings rate move in a negative way quite quickly. We will see. I mean, worth saying, of course, that actually because of high inflation, even if you've had a very good savings sort of rate locked in, the likelihood is your money hasn't been doing much for you anyway because of the high inflation rate in recent months.
Thank you very much indeed, Peter Roddick. Just going back to the Olympics, we'll have more action for you after the news, but, we've been following the swimming all morning, we've been following the golf, we've also been following the rowing, and Team GB's men's 4 won bronze earlier this morning. Now, there's bronzes you're very happy with and bronzes you're less happy with. Let's see which it is for Ollie Wilkes, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson. They've been speaking to Maz Faruqi.
Guys, congratulations on the medal. You sort of slapped the surface of the water when you crossed the finish line, and we couldn't tell if that was frustration or celebration.
No. Well, firstly, it was letting out all the pain because that really hurt. No, personally, for me, that was the celebration. I think that was the best race we've had all Olympic cycle. Obviously, last year we went undefeated, and we thought, we can win this race if we get it right. But I think that was the best race we've put together in our 3 years together. So I think, I personally can't be any more proud of all the people that have been in this boat throughout these 3 years, and especially us three now and our coaches and everyone that supported us. I think, on the biggest stage there is, we put together our best race, and all credit to the Italians and the New Zealanders. They were outstandingly fast, and we took the fight to them as best we could. But was it? Oh, did I say Italian? Sorry, USA. See, I'm absolutely fried. I can't think properly. But no, I'm incredibly proud, and I think that was, as I said, that's the best race we can put together, and I think we can be proud of our race.
Talk us through the game plan then, because obviously heading into this final, we knew there were so many big boats, big crews who could potentially get on that podium.
Yeah, I don't think there was a single crew who couldn't challenge for the podium. And yeah, I think just when everyone's quick and everyone's going to be going for it, there's no point worrying about everyone else. I think we could get into kind of arguments amongst ourselves about who to race and how to do it, but we just got to do, it's a mentality Christian, one of our coaches, is so key on, just doing our thing. I think it's been instrumental in our success over the last few years in this result. So yeah, ultimately you don't want to be dropped, you don't want to be out the back, but like we know we have a slower start, but we have a quicker middle as a result of it. So yeah, we just did our race, doing our thing, focusing on our crew, and it paid dividends.
Yeah, talk us through sort of the final 1,000 metres. And obviously, it's what you say there is really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of visualisation that goes into this game plan of how you're going to, frankly, construct this race.
Yeah, I think our tactic has always been just to be quite internal. And obviously, the more stressful the race is and the more kind of high profile, the harder that is to do. So I think this one particularly, we had to do a lot of chatting beforehand to kind of get ourselves in the state to go out and just focus on ourselves. And then, you get into a bit of a dogfight during the race, and suddenly that's even harder to do. So for me, I'm pretty proud of the way we constructed the race. I think the first 1,000 would have been very easy. Peripheral vision, couldn't really see many other crews. We obviously didn't have the fastest start in the field, but I think the boys stuck at it really well. And I think that second 1,000 was some of the best rowing we've done this year, particularly. And I think we did ourselves proud, that kind of third 500 moving back on people, and the last 500 as well. So it was just a case of kind of sticking in our own heads rather than losing our minds trying to race other people, and just trying to get from A to B as quickly as we could. I think we did that.
Through the years, obviously, a lot of GB rowing fans are used to seeing it's a Great Britain win in the 4 and Australia win in the 4. The fact that now we're talking about so many other crews in this race, I guess, just shows how high the standard is now, how much it's moved on.
Yeah, there are a lot of World Cup, World Championship, Olympic medals in our boat class. From everyone in our race basically was really strong. A lot of nations put forward their best athletes. So we knew how strong the field was. We watched the rep, how close it was, how close our heats were. I think we're all really pleased to have been involved in a race like that with so many strong guys, so many talented guys, and the fact that we were able to compete, to have some epic races with them. I think we're all so happy. And bronze today, we could have dreamed for gold, but like Matt, like they've all said, I think we've put together a really good race. We kept internal, we did our race, and at no point did we lose our heads. So yeah, I think really proud of what we've done and how strong the event is.
That is the bronze medalists from Team GB in the rowing today. Ollie Wilkes, David Ambler, Matt Aldridge and Freddie Davidson speaking to Maz Faruqi. It's just gone 12:30. Let's get a news update.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The 5 Live News with Dina Campbell. The Bank of England has delivered its first interest rate cut in more than 4 years, taking the key rate to 5%, down by 1/4 percentage point. The base rate is closely followed as it heavily influences the rates set by high street banks and money lenders. The Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey says the Monetary Policy Committee will move cautiously going forward. 2 children who were wounded in a stabbing at a dance class in Southport on Monday have been discharged from hospital. 3 young girls were killed in the attack and 8 other people are still being treated for their injuries. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old boy is appearing at Liverpool Crown Court, charged with the murder of 3 young girls during that attack in Southport. He's been remanded in custody after an appearance at Liverpool magistrates earlier today. The BBC understands that a bid to take over the post office by Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky is to be called in for a review by the government. The bid will be scrutinised as to whether it could negatively affect a key part of the UK's economic infrastructure. Officials say that any links to Russia will be carefully examined.
5 Live Breakfast
with Rachel Burden and Rick Edwards.
I didn't want to just pass by the fact that you come into work in your slippers this morning.
Yeah, just looked down and thought, I'm comfy today. What's going on? Oh, okay.
How do you come across Pommel Horse Guy? He basically had one job in the team event and he absolutely smashed it. It says from Sam, absolutely sick that America brought Pommel Horse Guy, whose sole purpose in life is to ball out on the pommel horse. He pommeled the heck out of that horse. Long live Pommel Horse Guy.
5 Live Breakfast.
Listen weekdays from 6 on BBC Sounds.
Paris 2024, the Olympic Games.
With Adrian Chiles.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
It's just gone 12:30, and I can tell you that's a 17-year-old boy charged with 3 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder after the knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport can now be named. His name's Axel Rudakubana, and that ruling that he could be named came from the Recorder of Liverpool, the Judge Andrew Minery KC. We'll bring you more on this when we have it, but at just gone 12:30, let's go back to the hockey, where I believe GB have gone one down, Sarah.
Yeah, bit of shock here at the hockey. They're just playing some highlights on the big screens at the moment. It's France 1, Great Britain 0. An incredible score just before the half-time hooter by Timothy Clement. He's one of these players who now plays over in Belgium. He controlled the ball just on the edge of the D to then get a wonderful swipe away, guided in the end by Beaumagarten, but credited to Clement, a wonderful field goal, and the whole of the hockey stadium at Yves de Manoir went absolutely crazy. A bit of a shock here. France haven't won a match yet in this Olympic hockey competition. They were beaten in their opening game 8-2 by Germany, but they seem to have grown, and it's GB who are having to suffer this at the moment. Great Britain, of course, ranked second in the world at the moment. They have their work cut out for them when they come out in the second half. It is France 1, Great Britain 0.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Jonathan Anthony's pants overhand has been all over Paris like a rash this morning, but he's finally calmed down and settled in at Roland Garros for a while.
Comfy chair now, back at sort of like home territory, if you like. At the tennis, Roland Garros, watching Katie Bolter and Heather Watson for Great Britain, trailing 5-2 in the opening set of their women's doubles quarter-final against the established Italian pair, one of the best teams in the world, Sara Errani and Jasmine Paolini, finalist at the French Open. They've played pretty well, the Brits, but had a big chance in the fourth game to draw this set level at 2-2. And once they lost that game to go 3-1 down, it always looked unlikely that they would find a way of winning this set. The Italians close to taking it with a 5-2 lead.
Thanks, Jonathan. Ian Carter is at the golf.
Tommy Fleetwood with a birdie at the 14th, and the GB player now into a share of 4th place at 4 under par, but that's 4 shots behind the runaway leader at the moment, Hideki Matsuyama, playing some brilliant stuff, the Japanese player, but he has missed the fairway at the 15th. 8 under par, 2 shots clear of Chile's Joakim Niemann, and 3 clear of the Finn, Sami Välimäki, who's covered the outward half in 5 under par. As for Rory McIlroy, an up and down sort of day so far. The putter from short range not behaving again, but he just holed a good one for a birdie at the 13th. That gets the man representing Ireland back to 2 under par. And Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1, he's in the group at 3 under, having played 13 holes.
Thanks very much, Ian. Helen Glover was going for a historic 3rd gold medal in the rowing today, but in the women's 4 final, they fell agonisingly short. In the closing stages, they pulled alongside and went just ahead of the Dutch briefly, and it looked like they were going to have them for breakfast and finish with a gold, but the Dutch, to their credit, somehow found it from somewhere to hold on, and they just pipped GB to the gold. So just a silver for Helen Glover, Esme Booth, Sam Redgrave and Rebecca Short, and they spoke to Catherine Granger and Matthew Pinsent after the medal ceremony.
Silver medal for the women's 4. Helen Glover, what will you say to Kit, Bo and Logan in future days, hours, months and years about what happened today?
I'll say that they came for a week's holiday to Disneyland and the Eiffel Tower, and Mummy did a little rowing race and they were there to watch me, and I think that I'll say that they inspired so much of this. But I really want to inspire them and any other kids watching, and especially other parents and mums, that they can go back and they should be encouraged and supported to follow their dreams.
Esme, it's always a sort of roller coaster ride, even with a medal round your neck, from after the race onto the podium and now into sort of interviews, always asking you, put it into perspective. It's exactly what I'm going to do to you. How do you make sense of it all?
I think, we obviously went out there to try and win gold today, and there's definitely an element of disappointment around that. But I think, coming into the pontoon, these media interviews, going to the medal ceremony, it's all such a magic experience. Looking up at the stands and seeing my parents and my best friends there, it is an amazing experience. And, thank you so much to everyone that's come and made it what it is.
And Sam, we talk about kind of as time ticks on, emotions sort of come and go and vary. What are you feeling now with having done the ceremony, the medal around your neck? What's your overwhelming sense?
Well, a minute ago I was probably just overwhelmingly crying. Just thinking about family and what they've done for me and friends and how they've just kept supporting me. But right now I feel really proud. I feel really proud of all four of us who've worked so hard during the summer and just done everything we can, and that's what we did today. So right now I'm feeling really proud.
And Rebecca, I was reading a very good article from one of your teachers, Mr. Marin, who was talking about the Rebecca Shorten effect and what an inspiration you are to the young boys and girls at the same school. And that was before you had a medal around your neck. So does this just add to the inspiration you want to create, or will that always be there anyway?
No, definitely it does. I mean, the support back home has been amazing. My school, everyone, friends, family, teammates. And I think it's just like watching Hannah yesterday, it's been a great place for Northern Ireland rowing as well.
And what's the plan now? Dare I ask, have we thought about... We were saying before, Matt and I were discussing, you never quite plan for beyond the finish line.
No plans yet. Going to go see friends and family, have to go away on holiday, but don't really, just spend time at home.
It's great to see you all smiling. Well done. Congratulations, you all.
Enjoy the race.
Thank you.
There's the bronze medal winners in the women's, for Helen Glover managing to get a smile on the face. Silver, they came in with silver, I should say, just narrowly pipped to gold by the Dutch. Let's go back to the equestrian, and in the jumping team. Team GB currently sit in 10th position. One rider still to go. Ben Mayer was first out, spoke to Sonia McLaughlin.
It was great. It's always a lot of waiting around at these events, but to get the first round out of the way and see the positivity on the boys' faces coming through, hopefully we gave them a good start to get through today.
I've just caught you watching your own round on your phone. What would you say about your own performance?
Well, I didn't finish it, but normally I feel how it is, and she's really fresh this week. Dallas Vegas, we've saved her a little bit this year. And yeah, she feels in good form. She's a very sensitive mare, and I can normally tell how she's feeling, but she really, I feel like she knows the occasion this week, and she's with me all the way.
Because this wasn't the horse you were supposed to ride. You were going to ride Point Break. So tell us a little bit more about Tilly. She's known to her friends, because a couple of years ago you said that this mare is really talented, and it seems that her time has come a bit sooner than it might have done.
Yeah, I mean, if you're following the sport all the time, she's won sort of many Grand Prix, actually. She just felt like she dropped a little bit in form in April, May this year, and was no particular reason. And I'm very fortunate with the team of horses that I have. Point Break, he's only 10 years old, but he was jumping clears and clears, so we pushed him along. But Dallas Vegas, she really hit form the last few weeks, and fitness feels great, and she was a direct replacement horse for me. I think there was some questions whether we're a reserve, why not a reserve rider. She was always a direct replacement, and I just felt that the experience and the heat here and everything, it would help me get to the finish line.
Now, having seen that big old course, what one piece of advice might you give to your teammates, Harry Chiles and Scott Brash?
Just keep up the clear rounds, that's all we need today, so no pressure, but they know they have a slightly different horses from me. Stride size is a little different, so their plans will be a bit altered, but we have a very good team bond here. All four of us, we stick together here and we help each other through, so we have a positive start here this week.
Sonia, so where are we now? What's the latest from the equestrian?
Well, I'm just looking at Britain's third and final rider in this show jumping team. That's Scott Brash on Hello Jefferson. He's just leaving the arena, he's letting the horse stretch his neck. He had one down. He took the pole off the first part of the treble. one little mistake. But actually, at the moment, we've got Ben Mayer on a clear round, Harry Chiles with 4, and now Scott Brash with 4. So that puts Britain on 8 penalties overall, and they're actually sitting in first place. It's all done on the number of jumping penalties, time penalties as well. They're all added together, and then the top 10 teams will go through to tomorrow's final. At the moment, Britain is sitting in 10th place. They will be fine with 8 penalties. There are others to come in USA, some of the big guns, USA, who were silver medalists in the team last time out, Germany and the Netherlands, who are all sitting on 2 riders with clear rounds, so they've currently got 0 penalties. So I fully expect that Britain, anything can happen in show jumping, Adrian. We have seen some cricket scores here, but I'm fully expecting Britain to be overtaken in terms of being the leaders at the minute, but they will be comfortably inside the top 10 to qualify.
It's good to know, Sonia. Thanks for that. Sonia McLaughlin at the Chateau de Versailles. Let's pop back to Roland Garros. What have you got for us, Jonathan?
Yeah, first set's gone from the Brits, I'm afraid. They've got to do it the hard way here, from losing the first set 6-3 against Irani and Paolini on another baking hot day here in Paris, and a bit of amusement between sets 1 and 2. Adrian, you'll like this. What happens on these clay courts is the ground staff come out and give the court like a hosing at the end of each set, and then they rake it to make it perfection for the start of the next set. Well, anyway, the spectators were begging on the groundsman to basically hose them. So right on demand, the hose was turned on the spectators just to cool them down a little bit, and it was greeted with a big cheer.
Jonathan Overing at Roland Garros, thanks for that. It's just getting to 1:45. Let's get more on the breaking news I brought you a few minutes ago from Merseyside regarding the situation in Southport. Our correspondent Will Vernon can tell us about an intervention from the Recorder of Liverpool. A judge has made a key decision on this.
That's right, the reporting restrictions. So that's basically the laws that dictate how us journalists can bring people the news. Those reporting restrictions have now been lifted on naming the suspect in this stabbing. He has been named as Axel Muganwa Ruda Kubana. He was born on the 7th of August 2006, so he's 17 years old, but is going to be 18 in a few days. Perhaps that's why the judge lifted the reporting restrictions, because of course they were in place due to him being underage, under 18. He has appeared in Liverpool Crown Court for a bail hearing today, and he was remanded in youth custody pending trial. And the 17-year-old is charged with 3 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder, as well as possession of a bladed article, a curved kitchen knife in this case. And those 3 counts of murder relate to the 3 little girls that were killed on Monday: BB King, Elsie Dot Stankham and Alice Da Silva Aguiar.
So it's a highly unusual move from the judge. Is there an explanation, a clarification been issued at all?
We don't know exactly why those reporting restrictions were removed. As I say, it could be the fact that in a matter of days they would no longer apply, right? Because he was born on the 7th of August. In a few days he will be 18, and those reporting restrictions no longer apply. We can name that person, give more details about who they are. So that could have played into it. There could be other reasons as well. We don't quite know what the full story is behind that, but I think a lot of people here in Southport, they will be very happy that suspect is named. One other factor that can play into this is if the crime is particularly serious. If it's an incredibly heinous crime, sometimes that will mean that the judge will lift reporting restrictions as well. Possibly that had something to do with it in this case. But I think people here in Southport will welcome the fact that he has been named. Of course, he's only been charged. He hasn't been found guilty or anything. That will come much later at trial. But I think people will be happy that he has been named because, this crime has absolutely shocked this community to its very core.
And what happens next? When will the next hearing be?
So the suspect has been remanded in youth custody. So that was the bail hearing in Crown Court today. There will be a date set a little bit later for the start of the trial. So he will stay in custody until that trial starts. So we'll have to wait and see what the next announcements are from the Crown Prosecution Service, from the court. But we're expecting that trial to take place in Liverpool.
Yeah, I think we're just hearing, Will, that the pre-trial hearing is scheduled for October. It strikes me that, given the problems with frenzied social media speculation, so getting the name out there, I suppose, was there to some extent. It might have been an argument to quell that kind of speculation. But now, I suppose, inevitably, there'll be a new social media frenzy trying to find out everything they can about this 17-year-old who, the case is active. He has been charged. Nothing more can be said legally now.
That's right, and we already do know a few things about him. We know that he was born in Cardiff to Rwandan parents, but you're right, there has been an incredible amount of speculation. There was a riot here in Southport on Tuesday night. Hundreds of people gathered outside the mosque in Southport, hurling bricks, bottles, stones at the mosque, at the police. Over 50 police officers were injured in that. 4 people were subsequently arrested. They were expecting the police to announce more arrests as a result of that pretty soon. And the reason what sparked this riot, according to the police, is misinformation that was spread on social media that the suspect in this case had some sort of link to Islam. Now, the police are saying that there's no known link to terror, although counter-terrorism police are assisting in the investigation. But you're right that we're seeing, not just in Southport, of course, this unrest has spread to several other cities in the UK. Last night in London, over 100 arrests outside Downing Street. People who took part in that, in those disturbances, shouting "Save our kids, stop the boats." The London Mayor Sadiq Khan, he said that rising tensions mean that we should pull together and reject hateful narratives. In Hartlepool as well, that's about 150 kilometres from where I'm standing now, there was quite serious disturbances last night. 8 arrests, multiple police officers were hospitalised, so some quite nasty injuries by the sound of things from that. And the police said that unrest in Hartlepool was directly connected to what happened here in Southport. There were also incidents in Manchester and Aldershot as well. So it does appear that this violence is spreading to other parts of the UK, and that it started here in Southport, the police say, as a direct result of misinformation spread on social media.
Will Vernon, our correspondent in Southport for us today. Just gone 10-1. Let's go back to Paris and the hockey. So GB were behind when I last spoke to you. Any chance of an equaliser from you, Sarah, against the French?
Not yet, Adrian. 8 minutes of the third quarter to play. It's France 1, Great Britain 0. Now, this is a surprising scoreline. We don't want to take anything away from the French, but this is the sort of match in the Olympic hockey competition that Great Britain's men should be winning. If they do get a win today, if they do come back from this scoreline, they will be confirmed into the Olympic quarterfinals with a game to spare. But as I said earlier, France, they are not a hockey nation. They have really invested in this sport over the last 6 years or so, and they've been on the rise, and it all seems to be coming together for them, particularly in this match against Great Britain, despite having a slow start and being absolutely thumped by Germany in their opening game. They actually had a draw with Spain last time out, so they've really built. But as I speak to you, I can see that Great Britain, they've just got a penalty corner, although penalty corners in hockey, they're very important because they're one of the biggest sources of goals for teams. So far, Great Britain, I think this is their 10th penalty corner of this match, and they haven't actually scored from any of them. So I think we're going to stay and actually see how this plays out.
I see the dreaded VAR, Sarah.
Well, hockey's very used to VAR. They call it a team referral, this one at the moment. So basically, teams, they each have a referral that they can actually use themselves. So they can go to the umpire and they can challenge a decision. So it was the umpire's decision to send this to a penalty corner. France have actually chirped up and said they just want to check this. There is also the option where an umpire can go and check his decision as well if he's unsure. And they work as a team, the umpires and the video umpire, just to check that they've got things right. But that, you know, in hockey, this happens an awful lot. I mean, you would be appalled at how many times, if you don't like it in football, how many times hockey actually goes to this referral system to make these kind of decisions. GB look pretty confident here. They're lining up on the edge of the D at the moment. All eyes are currently on Sam Ward, who is currently off the pitch at the moment for GB. Remember, it's rolling subs in hockey at this level. So it means, although you name a squad of 16, you only have 11 on the field at any time, so 5 of them will be taking a rest at any one point. And at the moment, their main proponent of many goals for GB over the last few years has been Sam Ward. He's off the field, so it's going to come down to someone else to try and take this. We're going to keep a very close eye, particularly on Gareth Furlong from Surbiton. He's had great efforts going from penalty corners. It's this decision, I have to say, Adrian, even at hockey's levels, this is taking an awful long time.
It is. There's some hurry up involved in here. How much longer is this going to go on?
We don't know, if we're totally honest, Adrian. You know what they're like. And there is an argument here that you want them to get it right. I can see Sam Ward now. He's desperate to get back on the field, but he's not going to be allowed to before this decision's taken. So what's happened is all the French players, they're back inside the goal at the moment. They've got the headgear on, because if this penalty corner is awarded, they'll be the ones that get to rush out with the keeper to try and defend GB's shot from the edge of the D. But they're just they can't decide at the moment if the ball has come off, I think it's a French foot or a Great Britain stick. There you go. They've just said, OK, there you go. France have lost their referral. I'm not sure how clearly you can hear that coming through on 5 Live. France referred that. Now, that's significant as well, because after you've used up that referral, if you've got it wrong, you've lost it now for the rest of the game. You don't get one back. So that means that Great Britain now have the penalty corner. It will be Jacob Draper, the Welshman, who goes off to try and do the injection. He'll then shoot it in from the back line. The Great Britain players now all waiting round the outside of the D. Here comes Draper. Ball comes in, waiting to get the shot away. Still no goal for GB. It's cleared on the far side. Huge celebrations for the French, who still lead then in this hockey match. It's France 1, Great Britain 0. And GB, they have an awful lot of work to do if they're going to try and win this today and get the job done, get into the quarterfinals before their final pool game.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We'll keep you in touch with what happens there at the hockey. Team GB are up to second place in the team jumping after Scott Brash completed the third round. Harry Charles went second for Britain, and afterwards he spoke to Sonia McLaughlin.
Well, first of all, because I feel like saying, how are you? Because you had a bit of a mishap and that right wrist is now heavily strapped. So how are you doing?
Pretty good. When you go in there, the adrenaline takes over a bit, so I don't really feel what's happening with my hand. But honestly, the last week it's been perfect. It's more precaution. I got this tape on now than anything. But yeah, in the moment when I did it 4 weeks ago, I was pretty sure that was the Olympic dream over. But you know, get back up. Good team of doctors, good team of physios, and got it fixed.
I cannot imagine what on earth was going through your mind where you were literally on the floor having fallen off in Aachen. And did you know in that moment you'd probably hurt yourself?
I heard it. So I was like, oh. And I've never broken anything before, so it was like, oh, typical. This has never happened in 4 weeks before the Olympics. And here you are. I wonder, just given the build-up you've had, and were there any nerves when you went into that arena? Of course, it's a full house. It's 3 riders, every score counts. It's unpredictable sport too, so of course there's going to be some nerves. But that first round, getting out of the way is the biggest one, and 4 faults I would have taken that for the start of the day. The beauty of this new format is we all go back to 0 tomorrow, so everyone starts again. Yeah,
and you and this horse have done an Olympics before, and in that subsequent time, look, you've become one of the best young riders in the world. You're up there in world number 9. How much more confident do you feel as a competitor and an athlete at this level?
A lot. It really helps having a much stronger partnership with Romeo now. When I went to Tokyo, we were only 6 months as a partnership. Now we're 3.5, pushing 4 years. So it makes a huge difference to know each other inside out.
And what's the update from the arena, Sonia? Harry Chiles, having been pieced back together, he seems to be doing in fine fettle. Where are we now?
He had that right wrist heavily strapped, but he says he's okay. It's quite a miracle to be riding elite show jumping at this level a month after breaking your wrist and your arm in 2 places. But yeah, no, he did well. Just one down for Harry Chiles and Romeo. And then the third competitor for Britain went. That was Scott Brash on Hallow Jefferson, and he had just the one down as well. And you add all that into Ben Mayer's clear round earlier in the day. And we've still got a few riders to go actually here, but I can tell you that the numbers have all been crunched. And Britain have safely qualified. They're actually sitting in 3rd spot at the minute on 8 penalty points. The Germans will be the only nation who go through to the final having posted 3 clear rounds. It was a big shock that Petter Fredriksson from Sweden, the champions in the team, they got the gold medal last time out. He had a bit of a nightmare. The wall that has got this strange mural on it. His horse didn't like it. He stopped. So Sweden don't go through with 3 clear rounds. Even America, who got the silver medal last time out, one of their riders had 1 down. So Germany will be the only team go through with 3 clear rounds. But as Harry Chiles pointed out, Adrian, when we get to the final tomorrow, the scores will go back to 0 and we start again. But it just gives you an idea that Britain at the moment, sitting in 3rd, they're bang in the medal mix. Bang in the mix. Question is, can they get the big G?
Sonia McLaughlin, thanks for that. Ian Carter's at the golf. Ian?
Tommy Fleetwood missing a really good opportunity on the par 3 16th. That's where Europe won the Ryder Cup on this golf course back in 2018. But he is nicely placed at 4 under par, the GB player from Southport, in a share of 5th place with, among others, and ominously, the Open champion Xander Schauffele. He's covered the opening 8 holes in 4 under par. Rory McIlroy looks like he's just about to move back to 3 under par. And the leader remains Hideki Matsuyama of Japan, played brilliantly today. He's playing the 17th at 8 under par and 3 shots clear of the field.
Thank you very much. And finally to the tennis this hour, Jonathan Overend.
Katie Boulter and Heather Watson for Great Britain playing their quarter-final of the women's doubles, but they've got to come from a set and a breakdown to stay in the competition. Jasmine Paolini, who's had such a brilliant summer, reaching the French Open and Wimbledon finals, and her experienced Italian partner Sara Irani absolutely dominating this match as they stand. They won the first set 6-3 and are now 3-1 up in the second set. 30 love on the Boulter serve at the moment. Murray and Evans to come a little bit later on today on court Suzanne Longmont. Remember, they've saved match points to win both rounds so far here at the Olympic Tennis, and they will play Fritz and Paul. 4th match on that court a little later today.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you very much to everyone for your company for the last 3 hours. Mark Chapman will be coming up next, but first, at bang on 1 o'clock, let's get a news update for you.